Welcome to the Nitpicking Nerds and our first ever set review.
It's Innistrad Crimson Vow.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily content. This is an extra long video, so if you want to support our extra long set review, you can go to the description and check out our Patreon, where we have amazing perks for you that you can support us while receiving. It's amazing.
It is the best way to support us directly. If you want to support us in other ways by purchasing cards for yourself, TCG player link in the description below. There are affiliate buddies. You click that link, and as long as you've gone through that link to get the TCG player, anything you buy after that point will support the nerds.
You can also help us out with our new buddy link, Dragon Shield. Go to the US or the EU links, whatever's appropriate for you, and you can buy sleeves, not shields. You can buy sleeves, your favorite kind. Whatever Dragon Shields you want to buy, they can be bought while also supporting the channel.
Today, we're going over all the rares and mythics from Innistrad, Crimson Vow, and we're going to also throw in some uncommons and commons that are kind of cool. It might have some impact on the format.
And we're even throwing in the set booster cards that are technically from the Commander set, but it's going to be the entire set of Crimson Vow plus a few bonuses. We're even talking about legendaries, but in the 99, we'll also have our ranking every commander coming out as usual. There's just so much to talk about. We're even giving letter grades for everything from A to F. A, it's pretty much an auto-include. You're going to have trouble not including it in your deck. B, it's a build-around. Once you put it in and meet the requirements, some of the best cards in your deck. C's are like cuttable. You really don't need them, but they're not going to hurt you in a lot of cases. D's, we're starting to get to the cards that are better off as something else, but you can play them. And F is cards we would literally never play and never recommend playing.
Yes, so you want to think of it this way. The lower the letter grade, the higher reason you need to play it, whether that be liking the card, whether that be for synergy, for whatever reason, you just need more of it. I want to say that D through A, all those grades are playable within the Commander format at some level. F's are the only cards we're going to suggest, no matter what your restriction is, to probably avoid.
Pretty much every card you're not going to hear is an F. I guess all the random commons and chaff from the set, they're not going to be playable. We got to hop in, and as a bonus, we have our phones right here, so we can just read the card and save everybody a bunch of time.
Yes. So, first card, and I'm going to read this one. It's by invitation only. 3 white. Sorcery. Choose a number between 0 and 13. Each player sacrifices that many creatures. I just gave this a B. It turns out board wipes are just kind of good in Commander, and it's hard for them to be less than a B, even if it is replaceable in a lot of senses.
Well, this one works so much better than like your fumigates and your end hostilities like the 5-mana wipes. Mm-hmm. If you're a token deck and you're going wide, you just count the highest number of creatures that you don't control, make it that number, and then attack with your big fatties or whatever's left over. It's going to be close to one-sided like half the time.
Yeah, it also has this random little tiny upside here where if they can't just sack their board for like an advantage like a bunch of scries, because then you could choose 0. Because you choose on resolution.
Nice.
So you cast this, and if they sack their whole board to a Viscerous here, and that was the board you wanted to wipe, you go 0. Nobody sacks anything.
I think we're fine. I think we're okay.
Yeah. So that's the first card. B for by invitation only. What's next, BZ?
Next is Cemetery Protector. 2 white for a 3/4 with flash. ETB. Exile a card from a graveyard. Then whenever you play a land or a spell that shares type with whatever you exile, you get a 1/1 token. I like it for token decks. I think I'm going to give it like a C. It's not anything groundbreaking or nuts. The Graveyard Hate is nice, but it's kind of just tacked on there.
Yeah, it's 4 mana. I like that this card has flash. I like that you can get a nice, 2-for-1 out of this. Like, they go for a Reanimate or something out of the graveyard.
Potentially. 4 is a lot to hold up.
It is a lot to hold up, but I'm saying you're going to cast this either way, and you might get the upside of getting them. That's nice to get, but I do like that you're getting 1/1s from this every single time. Is it amazing or broken? No, but it's a solid card, especially for human decks.
Yeah, if you're heavy creatures, maybe you can shave a non-creature token maker for this thing, and you might not notice too much of a difference. It'll be better.
Yeah, it will be better. Next, we have Faith-Bound Judge. 1 white for a 4/4 creature spirit soldier. Defender flying vigilance. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Faith-Bound Judge has 2 or fewer judgment counters on it, put a judgment counter on it. As long as Faith-Bound Judge has 3 or more judgment counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. It has Disturb for 5 white, which means you can cast it from your graveyard for that cost. If you cast it for that cost, it is Sinner's Judgment. Enchantment or a curse. Enchant a player at the beginning of your upkeep. Put a judgment counter on Sinner's Judgment. Then, if there are 3 or more judgment counters on it, enchanted player loses the game.
Oh my god.
And then if this
still going?
And then if this would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, you exile it instead.
That was like 300 words. It's not even good.
It's unfortunate. I think this is a solid F. I really don't think this is a card you want to touch in Commander. It is clearly for the limited environment. It is clearly for the standard environment, perhaps, but even then, you're just not going to be able to do this. I think the backside is a cool achievement unlocked. If you're looking to do that, and you have to really be looking to have fun, because this card, from a power standpoint, is awful.
I don't even think it's that great from a fun standpoint, because you got to single somebody out. And even if it does work, which, it's 7-mana enchantment, probably won't, that's kind of lame. I just think this card just kind of misses on every Commander front.
7-mana enchantment, target player loses in 3 turns. That is a bad card.
You can't even, it's not even that. It's not even that. You have to get it to your graveyard first.
Yeah, jump through a hoop. Okay, what's next?
Let's get to the next one. It's Fleeting Spirit. 1 and a white for a 3/1 spirit. Pay white, exile 3 cards from your graveyard, and it gains first strike until end of turn. And you can discard a card to exile it and then return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. I wanted to point this little guy out because these are some sweet stats. I also like that you can give it first strike, strike something, and then phase it out, which is neat. I think as a discard outlet, there's possibly some homes for it, so we're just going to give it a D and say, if you have like a white deck that wants to discard cards, this card seems sweet.
Yeah, it's totally okay. I don't really have much to say about it, so I'm going to move right on to the next one. Hallowed Haunting. 2 white enchantment. As long as you control 7 or more enchantment creatures you control have flying and vigilance. The comma is between enchantments and creatures.
It's a real struggle.
Yeah, I know. It is a struggle. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a white spirit cleric creature token with this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of spirits you control.
So casting enchantments gives you spirit creatures.
Yes. This is fine. This is an okay payoff for a spirit deck, or for an enchantment deck, rather. But it also works with spirits because they do have power and toughness equal to your spirits. They were going for a theme in this set of you care about both enchantments and spirits. So the spirit enchantment deck is going to be like a C-. It's nothing crazy. You're not going to be like, this is the best card ever, but it will perform well if you have a very high concentration of spirits and enchantments.
What I think is interesting is that, well, you really don't need spirits, right? You can just play this in an enchantress deck.
You could, yeah.
So what I think is interesting about this card is that it's a mono-white enchantment payoff that isn't green and isn't blue. So if you have like a black-white enchantment deck or whatever, this can actually go in and be one of your better payoffs as opposed to being mediocre in green-white.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I think this card is pretty decent, but nothing too crazy. Next, what do we have, BZ?
It's Hopeful Initiate. This will be quick. 1 mana for a 1/2 training. 2 and a white, remove 2 +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. You got to be real heavy in counters, and you don't even get much for it. There's just better ways to destroy artifacts and enchantments. If you're in counters, you're probably in green-white. So just use those and forget this. D-.
Yeah, you're just almost never going to go to this card, but destroying artifacts and enchantments is a powerful effect that even some poopy card like this can be playable in a slight sense. So
if you're like mono-white counters, maybe.
Yes. Next, we have Catilda Dawnheart Martyr. 1 white, legendary creature, spirit warlock. Flying, lifelink, protection from vampires. Catilda Dawnheart Martyr's power and toughness are equal to the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. Disturb for 3 white, and then it comes back as Catilda's Rising Dawn, which is a legendary enchantment aura. Enchanted creature has flying, lifelink, and protection from vampires, and it gets +X, where X is the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments, and then, the exile thing because of how Disturb works.
I'm almost thinking there's like a cool mono-white deck here somewhere with like Catilda at the helm, where you have this mono-white spirit enchantment deck, and you actually want both.
I think that Catilda's better in the command zone. It's like a D+. It's a little bit weaker than the payoff that we just talked about, Hallowed Haunting. But overall, this card's also going to be fine in the same kind of decks. They fit together.
Fine. As a commander, it's its own thing, but in a deck, it's going to be pretty mediocre.
Yeah, D+.
Pretty close to an F. D+.
I think, I give it a D+. I think it's okay if you have the deck that it belongs in.
Right. Next, we got Allenbach Escort, which is 1 mana for a 1/1 vigilance. Sacrifice it. Target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. It's just another iteration of like Selfless Savior and All Seed, and they just... If you have a counters deck, this might be a little bit better than Selfless Savior or those other things if you have the really low to the ground protection cards. Otherwise, don't worry about it. But it's got a D because it goes in those decks and you can try to squeeze it in there.
Yeah, very solid budget card, I think. I think this card's going to fit in a lot of budget +1/+1 counters decks, and that's probably its main home. Not super excited. Next, we have Sanctify, which is 1 and a white for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. You gain 3 life. Sorcery speed. I gave this a D-. It is going to be playable in very budget decks, or if you just need one of these effects, maybe you really want to gain life or, some synergies, then it's going to be playable, but mostly it's a D-. I'd avoid it almost always.
Yeah, if there's not a lot of tricks going on in your meta, you could try to squeeze this in. Disenchant's going to do you better most of the time. You need some kind of life gain payoff. If you care about the number 3 specifically, there's very few cards that do that. But if you care about gaining 3 life, maybe D-.
Yes. Okay. What is next, BZ?
Well, next is Savior of Allenbach, and it's a B- because it's 1 white for a 1/2 training. Whenever it trains, you exile a creature in play or in a graveyard, and then when it leaves the battlefield, separate line of text, those creatures come back to the battlefield. So you can do a bunch of different stuff with this, including snipe someone else's creature, respond to the trigger, and then remove your own guy from the field, like flicker it, and then that creature just goes away forever. And also, reanimate creatures with this.
This card is really good. All you need to do is throw anything in your graveyard that's worth getting back, and now you can send this creature to its death. It doesn't matter. You send it into an attack, you send it with a 2/2, and then this gets blocked and killed, and you get back your best creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Or they don't block it, and it's still under there, and it's inevitable. It's coming back when this creature leaves the battlefield now. I think this card is very strong in the right deck, and if you're using this correctly, it's going to be good. Sometimes it's removal for you when you need it to be, and sometimes it's just going to be something even better than removal, which is going to be a reanimation spell. Love it.
Only problem is you got to wait a whole turn to get any of this stuff. So hence the B-. But we can move on to Sigarda's Summons. What is that?
It is 4 white for an enchantment. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have base power and toughness 4/4, have flying, and are angels in addition to their other type. This is just a D. There's just better +1/+1 counters payoffs out there. But if you're really looking for one and you want, you really like angels, maybe something along those lines, then this card's pretty cool.
Yeah, we gave it a D, right?
Yeah, D. Yeah.
All right, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. It's a reprint. We've talked about it a little bit before. These effects are bad by themselves and good in multiples. So specifically in like the Stacks Hate Bear deck, it's good, but overall it's like a D+. You barely want it anywhere unless she's surrounded by all of her friends.
Yeah, she needs a lot of synergy to be good, and by herself is very bad. I think you put that perfectly, BC.
Oh yeah, just to reread it for anyone who doesn't know what she does. It's 1 and a white for a 2/1 first strike non-creature spells. Cost 1 more.
Yep, pretty simple one there. Next we have Voice of the Blessed. This is white creature, spirit, cleric. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Voice of the Blessed. As long as Voice of the Blessed has 4 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it has flying and vigilance. As long as Voice of the Blessed has 10 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it has indestructible. Now this is an actual playable. What is it called?
Johnny's Pridemate is dead.
Johnny's Pridemate. This is a playable version of the card. We kind of pooped on that card all the time. We said you probably shouldn't put this in your deck ever. I think it's only a C-, as you really you need to gain like 4 times before it really gets anywhere to be a decent card. That being said, some life gain decks will absolutely love this card, and it's cool.
It's actually a nice way to beat down and put some pressure when you gain life. It's like a fair Sarah Ascendant and a fair Johnny's Pridemate like mixed together. Well, this is going to be a big flying monster later in the game. It's good early. It's depending on what your board is, it might also still be good late, because if you have a lot of individual triggers, you won't even notice that this thing came down on turn 10. It'll still be an 8/8.
Yes, the best way is to repeatedly gain life are the Soul Sister. So if you have a Soul Sister out with this, it's just going to be bonkers.
Easy mode.
You're going to probably untap with it as a 10/10 because that's just how it's going to be. When people are playing creatures, maybe someone plays makes 3 tokens. Oh, all of a sudden 3 more counters for my voice guy. Yep, he's getting big.
That's scary. That gets real close to indestructible.
Yeah.
And that's not unbeatable, but that's really freaking good for 2 mana.
For flying vigilance indestructible, that card is going to be hard to beat if you don't have flyers.
Yeah, that's not bad. Wedding Announcement is next, and it's 2 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on it. If you attack with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Then, if it has 3 or more invitation counters on it, transform it into Wedding Festivity. Creature you control get +1/+1. Thank God that was so much simpler on the back.
Yeah, the backside isn't super exciting, but this is white card draw, and this is pretty solid if you have enough creatures in your deck. You want to try and turn it into drawing 3 cards. Is it crazy or broken? No, not really. But for white's getting more card draw, and these kind of cards are adding up to white actually becoming a better color in Commander.
It's close to military intelligence, which would be way better color shifted. I almost wish I didn't have to put the counters on it because I could care less about +1/+1. I just kind of want the 2 more creatures, draw a card.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So for this card, we gave it a D+. It's, again, nothing crazy, but it is a solid card for white decks that are struggling with their card draw.
Yeah, could be good.
Speaking of white decks struggling with their card draw, Welcoming Vampire is a absolute awesome card. It is a B-, 2 and a white. Creature, vampire, 2/3 flying. Whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. This is a great card. Absolutely 100% the kind of card draw we want to see. It's a body, it's a creature, it's for our Boros decks, and every time we play one of our smaller creatures, we just draw. We don't have to do the Mentor of the Week, put the extra mana in. No, we just draw. And sure, we can only do this once a turn, but if you have some flash creatures and stuff like that, you can start doing it on other players' turns.
Oh yeah, this card is great. The first thing I think of, weirdly enough, with this is Legion's Landing, just because it flips into a land. It triggers the thing right away, or it flips into a land that can then trigger an instant speed with little to no investment. This card's sick. I know that people are a little bummed that we don't get that every time, like that one A Welcome Arena card gave us. We'll get that eventually. This is 1,000% a step in the right direction, and it's actively a good card.
Yeah, it's a very good card. Just a solid B-. You're going to want to play this in a lot of your white decks.
Oh, yeah. Breathkeeper Seraph is next. It is 4 white for a 4/4 angel with flying and soul bond, which means if this or another creature enters, you can bond them together. And that means as long as it is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, quote, when this creature dies, you may return to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of your next upkeep, which is so weird. But then they get to soul bond again if this thing comes back.
Yeah, exactly. You need to exile this or respond to its soul bond trigger. Other than that, this card's just going to keep coming back, and it's going to keep coming back with whatever your soul binding gets you. It's going to be super annoying to deal with. So, it's a solid C+. I think this does belong in a decent number of decks. It is 6 mana, and the 6 mana slot gets clogged really fast, but still very strong.
I think I was not prepared for these cards to be good because we looked at the cycle of like flashback cards from the last set booster commander thing, and they were terrible. They sucked. But this one's like actually good. I'm looking at the rest of them going, oh, this cycle is much more pushed to be playable without being broken. And definitely the most difficult part of this card for a lot of players is going to be not saying soul bound, because it's soul bond.
Soul bond, yeah. They have a bond. They're not bound together. No one's forcing it.
Jerry says it every time.
Yeah, soul bond. I say bond every time. Next is Wedding Ring, 2 white, artifact. When a wedding ring enters the battlefield, if it was cast, target opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring gains life during their turn, you gain that much life. Now, this goes both ways. So whenever you're drawing cards, they're drawing cards. And whenever they're drawing cards, you're drawing cards. I do want to say one thing. It's a D+. It's not that strong. But there can be, everybody has a wedding ring, everybody is married at the table, and everyone is drawing, meaning a Wizards has officially endorsed polygamy.
That is true. It is in the card. They put it in the rules. It's probably in the REL rules somewhere. I don't think this card is that good. There was so much hype, like, white card draw. I don't like Mind's Eye. I don't really like this. I don't like that you have to wait. You might not get hardly anything out of it. They might do better than you. Whew, this is just not a card I'm a fan of. Nope.
Yeah, it's bad. I think it's just bad. Let's move on to the next color, and that is blue.
Starting with Cemetery Illuminator, which is 1 blue for a 2/3 spirit with flying, ETB, or attacks. Exile a card from a graveyard. You may look at the top card of your library any time. And once each turn, you may cast a spell from the top of your library if it shares a type with the card you exiled.
I gave this card a C+. I think it is okay. I think the hoop you have to jump through makes it tough to get it so it's the type you want necessarily. But when you get it to the one type you want, it can be decent. And this is only a 3-mana thing. That's the only reason I think I put it here at C- is because it is pretty cheap mana-wise.
But what I like is that it ETB or attacks. So you play it, and then you potentially can get a card off of it, and then attack, and now you have 2 types exiled with it, and you're more likely to hit something. So if you go land creature, you're pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's a hoop you have to jump through, and it can definitely be a decent card, and it is good. It's weird. I just don't know what decks you put this in. That's where I'm at. It's like, where am I looking to play this? A spirit deck? Sure, that's it. Then after that, I'm out.
A blink deck where it lets you cast if you're heavy creatures, then you can get creature land really easily, and it's like nice graveyard hate to have.
Well, if it's in a blink deck, you're resetting it every time.
Well, you're not blinking this though.
Oh, okay. Well, you said in a blink deck. That's why I was.
I'm just trying to think of like you could reset it to exile something else.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just a C- and nothing else. Next is Consuming Tide. 2 blue sorcery. Each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. Return all non-land permanents not chosen this way to their owner's hands. Then you draw a card for each opponent who has more cards in their hand than you.
I will say, Consuming Tide was a real problem a couple of years ago.
Well, why?
With the whole Tide Pod incident.
This card being a sorcery, I think it makes it a C. But I think this card has potential, and it could even be better than I'm thinking. If you have the chance to rebuild with this card, I think it's good. If you're in a control deck where you're going to be bouncing a lot of things that aren't yours, this will also be good. It's a tough one to judge. It looks pretty strong on paper, and I think a C is a good place to start for a grade where it's like, yeah, but I could see this card outperforming and potentially being one of the go-to blue board wipes that isn't Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah, I look at it and I go, it feels a little bit harder. I'm not against the C grade, but it feels a little bit harder to get to actually work. If I want to draw at least one card because then I feel like I'm getting paid back for leaving my opponent's best things in play. Sometimes it's just not good enough. You just can't afford to leave the best things in play, though. And then this might have no text.
Definitely the downside of this card, for sure. It's definitely good against go wide strategies. Probably a lot weaker against, go tall strategies.
If everything's the same, this card's great. But if there's one critical boy in play, you're never going to get it.
Yeah, so that being said, C for this card. And we'll move on to Dream Shackle Geist.
Well, it's not very good because it's 1 blue for 3/1 flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1. Tap target creature, or target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. This is all just nice for other constructive formats, but not for Commander. It's basically blank.
Yeah, this is
F.
Absolutely not a Commander card. F. There's not a deck that I would play this in. This is basic. If this was a Commander card, it might be a common. It's that bad.
Yeah, it's rough. Next.
It is Goroth, a Visionary Stitcher. 2 and a blue, legendary creature, human wizard, 1/4. Zombies you control have flying. Blue tap, sacrifice another non-token creature. Create an XX blue zombie creature token where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness.
So he turns stuff into zombies and he gives your zombies flying. I like that this is a mono blue zombies payoff that is actually decent. I think he's better than the other Geralf.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's pretty good, and the fact that he gives all your zombies evasion is going to be strong. It's a solid C in like a Will Health deck or some deck like that where you're going to have lots of zombies to beat through with. But overall, he only goes in zombies. That's like his big downfall here, and he's only okay in those decks.
I'm going to say right now, because I just kind of thought of this, I think giving your zombies flying or giving your creatures flying is better than giving your creatures +1/+1. Okay. I think you're just hitting with more creatures. It's more damage. It's actually going through. +1/+1 lords aren't that good. This is like a flying lord.
Yeah, so he'll be pretty good. The one downside of like a flying lord like this is sometimes you send your creatures to their doom when it dies.
If Geralf's going to get spot removed, maybe they block with something bigger. Hullbreaker Horror, whatever. D. It's a 5 blue for a 7/8 flash. Can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, you either return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or a non-land permanent gets returned to its owner's hand. This is like a big control finisher. There's always one of these floating around. I got it at D, because if you're paying 7 mana for anything, it better have flash and not be able to be countered. That's not like, oh, I get this for free. It's like, no, it needs to have that at least, and I don't think enough stuff is here for this. Although, once you slam it, and you can resolve it and you untap with it, it's probably going to dominate the board.
Yeah, the problem is when they get swords, you feel really bad.
You draw it in your opening hand, you feel like crap.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's not that this card is bad or absolutely unplayable. It's that we're competing at the 7 mana slot. And in Commander, the 7 mana slot has a lot of good cards. And though this card has impact on the game and it will be decent, it's probably almost never going to be your best option at 7 mana.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So it's a D. How about the next one?
Yeah, well, it's Inspired Idea. 2 and a blue, sorcery. Draw 3 cards. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 3 for the rest of the game. But it has cleave for 3 blue, which means you remove the part in parentheses, and that would be the maximum hand size part, meaning this will just be 5 mana, draw 3, which is not good. And I think that 3 mana, draw 3, and your maximum hand size is reduced by 3 is bad. You're going to be discarding a lot that game. Maybe if you have a ton of ways, or your commander is like Crew Fix, where he says you have the maximum hand size.
Ooh.
Then I'm kind of interested in this character, because when the 2 and a blue side is good, it is a solid rate for drawing cards. This is 3 for 3, which is right where we want to be.
It's kind of unheard of. There's no 3 for 3. That's not a thing you can get on any real card unless there's a downside. And the downside is your hand size gets tanked. If you're some kind of like stormy, I just care about card velocity right now, or like, I'm thinking of like a Joyride deck maybe or something where you're like, all right, give me 3. I don't care what happens. I'm casting them all anyway. Maybe this could be good. It's so niche, D-. You know when you want it. Just keep an eye. Like, this is a card I'll keep in my head for the rest of time because I think I'll probably build one deck that's like, ooh, Inspired Idea, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with you. Inspired Idea is a pretty cool card. Let's move on to the next one, though, which is, what do we got? Oh, my God, Jacob.
It's Jacob Hawken, Inspector. 1 on a blue. For a 0/2 Human Advisor, tap, draw a card, then exile 1 from your hand face down. You can look at it for as long as it remains exiled. Then you can pay 6 if you do. Transform him into Hawken's Insight. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You can look at it for as long as it remains exiled. Once during each of your turns, you can cast a spell or play a land from among the stuff you've exiled with this card. F. Just like a resounding F because it's too slow. And we have cards that just tap to draw or draw a card. This is just too cute. Not going to work the way you want. Just Merfolk Looter is better than this.
At 8 mana, you flip it over, and then you can start getting card advantage, and it's basically a Phyrexian Arena. But maybe you drew a couple extra cards earlier. This card is awful. I think this card isn't even close to remotely playable in Commander at all. The flip cost is way too heavy.
Way too heavy. What? I'm just comparing this to like Jace Vryn's Prodigy and even Phyrexian Arena, which is just a 3-mana version of this.
Yes. So moving on, because that card stinks. To a card I really like. It's Mere Hall Mimic, which is 3 and a blue for a creature spirit. You may have Mere Hall Mimic enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it's a spirit in addition to its other types. And then it has Disturb for 3 blue. And on the backside, it's an aura enchantment, which says at the beginning of your upkeep, make a token that is a copy of the enchanted creature, except it's a spirit in addition to its other types. I think this card might be one of the best clones in a long, long time. It is strong.
They love doing clones with upside. This is one of the better ones. You just get clone on the face. Mm-hmm. The second ability also not very good. But if you mill it, it's free. If you discard it, it's free. If they kill your clone, guess what? They're going to have to maybe clone the next best thing you control, and now they have to kill that. And I just think it all adds up to a solid card. I don't think it's like mind-blowing or a staple or better than Clever Impersonator, but it's just a good card.
Yeah, it's not about being better than Clever Impersonator or even necessarily better than like Phyrexian Metamorph. It's not better than those two, but this card is super solid, and you can really throw it in any creature-based blue deck where you want to be copying certain things, and you'll probably be satisfied with it. Also, spirit decks absolutely love this. I mean, 110%, it's just a spirit. You can just have a spirit Alistair. Okay, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty sweet.
Okay, so what's next, BZ?
Next is Necro Duality. This is a rock-solid card. I love the design. 3 and a blue. Whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield under your control, you create a token that's a copy of that creature. I'm wondering if there's some kind of stupid way to go infinite. There probably is. It can't be that hard. A zombie that flickers already kind of goes infinite with itself. But anyway, combos aside, this is a solid B because you need to be in zombies. But once you are, it's like your top 3 cards. There's like Top Storm, and then there's like this. I'm thinking Rot Hulk with this is probably just game over, especially in like a deck built to win with it. Rot Hulk says, ETB, get back 3 zombies. So Rot Hulk clones itself, and then that clone gets 3 zombies. And then all 6 of the zombies you just got get cloned. So you get 14 zombies for 7 mana. How do you not win that game? Right there.
You asked how you go infinite with this card. Rot Hulk does it by itself.
Does it? Oh, because you can sacrifice Rot Hulk, right?
Yeah, you Rot Hulk comes in, you trigger you get 3. All these triggers go on the stack. You sacrifice the Rot Hulk, then the copy of Rot Hulk brings back Rot Hulk.
We did it. That was hard.
Yeah, it wasn't hard at all. I mean, this goes infinite with just Rot Hulk and a sack outlet. There's also probably plenty of other combos with this card. It's very, very good. It's a B. It's not breaking the format because it's only zombies, but in the zombies deck, it's an A+. It's going to be one of the best cards in your zombie deck. This and Rooftop Storm are the 2 non-zombie payoffs you want in your deck. Like, you don't want many cards that aren't zombies.
Yeah.
But Necro Duality and Rooftop Storm are so good, you're fine with them being just enchantments.
Oh man, Rooftop Storm and Necro Duality.
Yeah, I mean, you can never lose.
That's easy mode.
Both of those cards are just very, very good in the decks that you play them in.
How about another zombie?
It's Overcharged Amalgam, 2 blue for a 3/3 creature zombie horror. It has flash and flying. When you exploit, you counter a spell, an activated ability, or a triggered ability. This is basically disallow on a creature, but you need to exploit. If you have lots of extra creatures laying around, and you're in this zombie deck where you want you want to play counter spell, but you don't want to play counterspell because it's not a zombie, well, here you go. It's a little overcosted, but you get a body, so it's actually pretty good.
If you can sacrifice creatures, this starts getting on par with or better than like Venser or any of the like Mystic Snakes because you just have the creature. So it's just a better creature with that ETB, and as long as you can keep sacrificing creatures, I think this card is actually solid. I would have expected, if you just read the text box of me, I would have expected this card to cost like 1,000 or be terrible, but it actually seems good.
I think it's a C-. I think it only really belongs in zombie decks when you care about that zombie type. Otherwise, it is pretty overcosted for a counterspell. But, in those zombie decks, it is a solid card. It's not bad by any means, but I don't think it gets over a C-.
I think it's good. Patchwork Crawler's next. This card is not good. 1 and a blue for a 1/2 zombie. Pay 2 and a blue. Exile target creature card from your graveyard, and it gets a counter. And it has all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with it. Just amounts to nothing. It's too much setup. It's a D-. It's just too much setup for what you get, which is a 2/3 that maybe has an activated ability. Whew, no way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. This card is cool, but it's basically a bad Necrotic Ooze. That's all it is.
It's just awful. I don't like this. This design disappoints me because it's so bad, and I don't know where it's supposed to be played.
In the cube, maybe. It's a zombie, and it cares about +1/+1 counters.
I don't even know, dude. This is so medium.
It is very medium. I will agree with you.
If it was an uncommon, I would not bat an eyelash.
Yeah. Next, we have a common, and it is an insanely strong card. I might have even undergraded it because it is very good. It is Scattered Thoughts. 3 and a blue for an instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 of those cards into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. I gave this a B-, and that might be too low. This could be a B+ potential. This card,
I like B-.
But I think this card. So I think Fact or Fiction is a B+, right? We've given it a B+.
I think so.
This card is so close, and it might be better. Being able to just choose 2 of the top 4 might be better than the pile thing. Is it? I'm not 100% sure, and I want to play this card to really test it. But the fact that these go to your graveyard is really, really strong. I'm high on this card.
If you mill anything or get anything off the top of your deck with an activated ability or a flashback, you drew 3 cards. This card is sick. It's better than Memory Deluge is a rare, and it does this, but they go on the bottom. This is better than that. Better than the front side of the rare, not counting the flashback. And the flashback's even really hard to pull off. This might just be a better card than Memory Deluge. And it's just so confusing that it's a common. We don't really care about the rarity because it's just a good card. Don't sleep on it. How about that?
I want to say there's the Memory Deluge, the Scattered Thoughts, and the Fact or Fiction. They are competing for like the same kind of slot. Maybe you only want 2. I'm not sure what 2 you play. They're all solid in their own right, and they all have their own advantages. I really am just a huge fan of this card, and I think you should, if you're playing Fact or Fiction and you want to test this card, you should just try switching it out and see what happens. This card might just be it. It could be better than Fact or Fiction. I'm not saying it is, but it has the potential to be.
Right. How about it isn't, but it can be, depending on how the game shakes out. Also, I'll say if you're playing Fact or Fiction and another card like Memory Deluge, just switch them. Because if you want Fact or Fiction over Memory Deluge, you want this over Memory Deluge too.
Oh, yeah, but I know. But like having all 3 might even be the best because Fact or Fiction and Thawed Scuds put Memory Deluge into your graveyard.
That's a little excessive. I don't know. Sometimes you don't want any of those cards.
Maybe that's just all your card draw. Maybe you do that and you want to mill yourself. They're all cool.
I don't know if I want to do that.
They're all pretty strong cards.
Thirst for Discovery, also a sweet card. 2 and a blue for an instant. Draw 3, then discard 2 unless you discard a basic land. Budget decks, lower, power with less crazy mana bases, mono blue decks. Love this card. This card is really good in mono blue. It puts cards in your graveyard. You can put a flashback card in there, and then it's basically draw 3 and instant speed. Love this card. C-, totally solid. Not an auto include, but a really good role player.
Yeah, it's funny. We sometimes C- is like, yeah, whatever. But this is a good C-. The only reason it's here and it's not higher is one, we have a strictly better version of this card where you can discard any land.
Well, it's a sorcery, so it's not strictly better.
So I'm actually wrong. I was thinking it was, but either way, we have a card that's like similar. This card's not broken, it's not insane, but in a mono blue or a 2-color deck, it'll be a good draw spell.
Yeah, it's the same with like It's the same with every one of these versions because we have a lot now. Thirst for Enlightenment, you need an enchantment heavy deck, then it's great. Thirst for Knowledge, you need artifact heavy deck, then it's great. Same thing with this. You got to have a lot of basics, so maybe monocolor. How about Wash Away?
This is a card that has been very hyped. It is a blue to counter target spell that wasn't cast from its owner's hand, but it has Cleave for 1 blue, and that would make it so it just counters target spell. The 1 blue is horrible.
Terrible.
3-mana counter spells in Commander are not even close, especially in our opinion, where you want to be. Those are Fs. There's almost none I'm even close to interested in playing. Now, the idea here is that Wash Away is good enough because you can always counter their Commander. If I think you really... this just isn't there. I don't want to touch this card almost ever. I think I gave it a D+. Yeah, I didn't give it like the worst grade. I will never touch this card. In my book, this is an F. This is a card I will never put in the deck. It's narrowness, and then having to play 3 for a counterspell is not where I want to be when there's so many good counterspells in this format. But I understand the hype, and it's kind of cool.
It's cool that it exists. I just don't think it's that good. Careful about the hype trains. It is not better than Tail's End, and Tail's End is a card I have never touched, although I do recognize that it's good in CDH when there's more triggers that matter. Just in regular old Commander, this is not a full card, and you need a full card.
Yeah, so why don't you read us our last blue card?
I would love to. It's Imperious Mindbreaker. 1 blue for a 1/4 Soul Bond, and as long as it's paired with another creature, each of them has, when this attacks, each opponent mills cards equal to its toughness. Ugh, this is a bad one. D-.
Mill is upside for your opponent. Unless you're a dedicated mill deck, this goes absolutely nowhere. Literally, I wouldn't put it in any other deck except a dedicated mill deck.
Yeah, mill is almost always, or let's just say always, upside. If I could just start the game and mill 10 cards, I don't know what deck would say no to that.
Yeah,
you can't mill them unless you're killing them with it.
And now on to the third color, which is black. And the first card we have is an uncommon called Archghoul of Thraben. 2 and a black for a 3/2 zombie cleric. Whenever Archghoul of Thraben or another zombie you control dies, look at the top card of your library. If it's a zombie card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put that card into your hand, you may put it into your graveyard instead.
Ooh.
I am like, this is weirdly not a rare. This feels rare power level. I gave it a C+. Almost all zombie decks want this. If you have the high concentration, those 30, 40 zombie decks where this is going to hit most of the time, great. But it also has the upside of it doesn't auto mill or anything like that. Like some of these cards, like say, if it's not a zombie, put it in your graveyard automatically. It's like, well, that can be bad. No. It's a choice now. So I really like this card for 3 mana. I think it goes right along with zombies wants to be doing.
Not only can you decline to mill a card that's not a zombie, but you can mill a zombie if it's Gravecrawler or whatever, and you'd rather have it in your graveyard. So that it really just gives you all the choices. The trigger can't be bad for you. It's always upside, and I like that. It's going to be competing so hard with Midnight Reaper and Grim Horror Specs, and Undead Augur is better, and I think Species Specialist is better. So this is like your 5th best dice trigger, or you could try switching for Grim Horror Specs since it's not a zombie, but the rest of them I just think are a little bit better.
I would play this over Grim Horror Specs in the zombie deck specifically. But yeah, I agree. It is competing at a tough spot, but I think it is very, very playable. Next.
I'll also throw Dreadhorde General and Yawgmoth in the mix.
Yeah, I mean,
so many.
There is so many. But in the zombie deck, it ups your zombie count, and that is, you can't really understand how important that really is for decks.
It makes all your other cards that much better.
Exactly. Like your Necro Duality. If you have Necro Duality and you play Grim Horror Specs, it's whatever. But if you have Necro Duality and you play Archghoul of Thraben, it is amazing.
You're cooking with gas.
Exactly.
Blood Vial Purveyor is a bad card, but I will read it anyway. It's 2 black for a flying trample 5/6 vampire. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player creates a blood token. So they get an artifact that says pay 1, discard a card, draw a card, which is just good for them. It's rummaging. And whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each blood token defending player controls. So you're giving them actual tangible advantage, good things, free things, for the cost of, I have an undercosted flyer that's going to attack you for like 7. And I'm just thinking this is going to bite you in the butt every time.
This is a D- trending toward F. I want to say blood tokens are extremely hard to judge for Commander. I look at them and I see something that's only specifically good in a Madness deck. Sometimes in a late game when you really need to like discard a land to look for a card, it'll be okay. I don't know how good they are. That being said, this card is just kind of stinks. He's just he's a little undercosted for a flyer. I mean, we're not looking for power toughness only in Commander usually, but I guess if you are, this is your man.
This is your guy. But giving opponents, even if the artifact just said like, pay 1, sacrifice this artifact, that's still, I don't want to give that away. It's like stupid little tokens, little baubles, and all this stuff. They can like really be useful to certain decks. I think there's a lot of decks nowadays that can utilize that. I'm just thinking of like Urza and everything that says sacrifice a permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, do this. I just don't want to give that stuff away. Getting a 5/6.
Yeah, agreed. Next we have Cemetery Desecrator. This is part of the Cemetery cycle. 4 black for a creature zombie 4/4. It has menace. When it enters the battlefield or dies, exile another card from a graveyard. When you do, choose one. The first one is remove X counters from target permanent, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Or target creature an opponent controls gets -X until end of turn, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Oh, it's not there. This is a D. I mean, you can get a 2-for-1 with this card, potentially.
Well, 3-for-1. You can get a 3-for-1.
You can get a 3-for-1 with it, but even then, this at 6 mana is just not good enough. It's worse than Grave Titan. Grave Titan's like a C. It's a medium card or whatever. This is much worse. I'd rather have Grave Titan every time, and that'll tell you how much I want this card.
It is a zombie. It's not there. It's a D. It's like filler. Hope to not play this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're building a Trade Binder Zombies deck, it makes it. But it's not going to play like the worst card in the world. You could snipe exile your Zakama that I killed. All right, kill your Ulamog. I don't know.
Yeah,
you could go crazy with it.
I mean, it has a high ceiling.
Very low floor. Oh boy.
Very low floor for 4/4. I mean, that's for 6.
You got to have a card that's juicy enough in there, and the remove counters is flavor text.
Yeah. What's the next card? This card's not good.
Well, this card's not good either. Concealing Curtains, black for an 0/4 defender. Pay 3 mana, transform it into a 3/4 menace, and it just thought seizes somebody when it transforms. You can't spend this much time to thought seize someone. It's not worth it. Almost nothing that thought seizes is worth it, I think, in the whole format, because you're not scaling appropriately. You can't 1-for-1 like this, especially with thought seize. When you 1-for-1, you spend mana and they don't to get a 1-for-1. That's awful.
Speaking of not being able to spend the time, we shouldn't have spent time talking about this terrible card. And
good one.
And therefore, we should move on to Demonic Bargain, which is 2 and a black for a sorcery. Exile the top 13 cards of your library. Then search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand. Then shuffle. This is a D-. This is almost unplayable. The exiling 13 is too high of a cost. You're looking, when you cast a tutor in Commander, you're looking to get specific things. 13 can easily hit that card, and if you do, you can hurt yourself a lot. Now, am I going to tell you to never play this on a budget or never touch this ever? No, but I think the punishment of exiling 13 cards is huge.
I found where you want it, though. You see, you're the self-mill deck, and you go upside, mill myself for 13. Go find another card that mills me for a lot. I've got plenty of them. I think that could be sweet. I was thinking, I do have a Nexus of Fate self-mill deck, but I'm thinking I still can't play this card, though, because I don't want to hit Nexus of Fate. I have to wait until it's in my hands. Like, it's so rough. I wish you could tutor and then do it, but that would kind of take away some of the downsides, so it's just not worth it. 3-mana tutors aren't even that good.
Yeah, 3-mana tutors just aren't good enough, and this has too much downside. That's the only problem. That's just the issue with this card. Let's move on to the next one, BZ.
Yeah, the next one. This is a really cool card. It might not be great, but it's cool. Dreadfast Demon, 5 black for a 6/6 flyer. End step, second on demon. Then you clone this thing. So as if you turn something else into demon, next turn if you Omega there, let's assume you do, you now have 4 demons, and it just goes crazy from there. Sweet, sweet card. It's a D, though. It is so hard to use this card. It's not good enough for the mana cost you're paying. It's very vanilla. It doesn't even trample over. So I'm just not interested in it for Commander. But in some cool, janky thing, maybe. It's a D. It's just not very good.
It's there for your Demon Tribal deck. And that's about it. I wouldn't touch it anywhere else. Next, we have Dying to Serve, which is 2 and a black for an enchantment. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create a tapped 2/2 zombie creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. I would love this card if it didn't only trigger once each turn, but that might be too good. This card is decent. I really love the art. I love the pun. I love so much about this card. So let's get to D+ because it can really only trigger once a turn. Still a pretty cool card. I mean, the pun, the blood, the zombies carrying the little blood. I mean, chef's kiss. I mean, this is the card this is one of those cards that's so cool. I might put it in the deck even though it's not that good because I like it.
In a discard deck, you're trying to discard cards so that discard equals draw, and then the upside of that is usually draw. So it turns your discards into draw 2s. Now, making it a whole creature, that's pretty decent. It's not draw a card, especially in Commander, but it's probably draw a third of a card or something along those lines, especially if you can utilize the token. So I could see this doing actual work. It's so easy. Like, this is the actual easiest thing to trigger every single turn. It's so easy to discard. You have, like, blood tokens, discard to hand size, madness, discard outlets, zombie infestation. Everything in the world can discard at instant speed. So this will pretty easily get you 4 tokens to go.
Yeah, the tough part about this card is, it is only once a turn, even though you can do it instant speed. You got to make sure you're drawing cards, too, because if you just discard your whole hand, and you get creatures, you got to make sure they all have madness, and if some of them are lands, there's always a little bit of trouble with the discard deck, and this is a card that isn't good for the discard because it doesn't have madness itself, so it does have a little struggle there, too.
True. Edgar's Awakening, also a card you want to discard. It's 3 black, reanimate something, and then when you discard it, you can pay black. When you do, you return a creature to your hand, so you want to be able to discard it. Basically has madness. I kind of like it for madness decks or budget madness decks because the creature you're getting back probably has madness, and there's probably actually some weird kind of loopy things you can do if the creature you get back is like a revolutionist where it has madness and then gets back an instant or sorceries. This is kind of cool. It's a D, though. It's pretty low power. I just think there's some homes for it, and I wanted to mention it because it's an uncommon.
Yeah, I mean, the front side is really bad. I mean, reanimating for 5 mana, never where we want to be. Where we want to be is obviously discarding this card and then paying its cost, and even that's just medium. But yeah, it is a playable Magic card for sure.
I also like that it cheats. It can cheat costs. You know, the worst side of this card is still a card. Late game, it doesn't really matter if you cheat out an 8-drop. If you paid 5 mana for it, it's still like you're going to get an impactful card.
Yeah. Next, we have Falcon Wrath 4 Bear.
4 bears?
4 bears.
Oh
Whole bears. 2 in a black for a 3/1 flying. Falcon Wrath 4 Bear can't block. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a blood. Pay 1, sacrifice 2 blood tokens, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh, the mandatory bloodghast of the set.
This card's not good. I mean, this card is one. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't think Blood's good except for specifically in Madness. I don't think this token is valuable enough or worth making in 99.9% of decks.
No, you got to make them real easy or have some really good way to take advantage of them. And none of these cards is just handing out Blood for free. They all hit with your 3/1 that you paid 3 mana for. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a D-. It has the same unfortunate thing where it's like, maybe these blood things are good in a discard deck, but they don't have madness themselves, so it puts it into this awkward position of like, how my Angie deck needs a ton. Now, Angie Falconwrath, that is the original. The original Angie. I can't put this in my Angie deck because it doesn't have madness itself. But I don't. It's so tough. They fall in this weird gray area where I just don't see them seeing play.
They fall flat, actually. Let's go to Felstinger. 2 in a black for a 3/2 uncommon. Scorpion with Death Touch. Exploit. And when it exploits something, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Joe was just pointing this out as like a budget sort of, hey, it's an alternative. It's card draw. You can get it for like 0.0 cents. I kind of like it, but it's way low power. So we gave it a D, but it's not here for your tuned high power decks. It sucks for those. But if you need card draw and you need a creature, I kind of like it.
This is absolutely a solid zombie for a more lower power budget deck. It's a D. It's nothing. It's not going to blow your socks off, but it's still a solid card. I mean, Knuckle Duality, come on.
Baby.
That's awesome. What do I have to sack? Oh, I can sack the other one that I just got.
They exploit each other.
They can't exploit each other.
They definitely can.
Oh, they can because Trigger says,
heck yeah.
That's so stupid. All right, what's next?
Well, they can exploit each other, but you only draw 2 cards. They can both exploit themselves, which is what you should do.
Yes, that makes a lot more sense. What's move on?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I guess I have to read this.
You gotta go.
Read it. It's Graph Reaver. It's 1 in a black for a creature zombie warrior 3/3. It has exploit, and whenever you exploit, destroy target planeswalker. At the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to you. A 3/3 for 2 with downside, and it only hits planeswalkers. F.
Such an F.
It's an F. You should not play any removal that only hits planeswalkers. So that would mean this is a 3/3 for 3 that deals 1 damage to you, or for 2.
Don't forget that discount.
This is awful. This card it's butt soup. Don't touch it.
It is poop on a stick. Just not for this format at all. Headless Rider is a sweet one, though. It's 2 in a black for a 3/1. When it or another non-token zombie you control dies, you get a 2/2 zombie token. Ooh. Kind of they finally made Zathrid Necromancer a zombie.
Yeah, I mean, this card is a much better zombie than it is a human because, 1, it makes zombies for starters.
Oh, yeah.
That's already a huge upside. If the humans were making humans, that would have been way better. But they weren't. They were making zombies, so the change in type made it tough. This card's great. It is absolutely great. B. Just a B. Your zombie decks are going to love this card. I can't keep talking about Necroduality, but Necroduality with this card. This is what we want. We want to just load our deck to the brim with 40, 50 zombies. And this deck is
50?
It's ready to explode with zombies with like these 5 things that super pay them off. Oh, yeah, these cards. This card's great. And zombies want to die. Zombies want to be exiled. Look at Will Health. He's sacrificing in a turn. Get a decayed zombie. Get a regular one. Oh,
well,
I'm in.
I was going to start saying, like, Wilhout gets me really thinking with this, and, like, Undead Augur, too, because they both don't say non-token. So you go play a zombie, get a 2/2, sack it, draw a card, get a decayed zombie, sack it, draw a card, find another zombie, go ham. You're drawing your whole deck.
I mean, I'm being serious when I say this. The stuff that Zombies has been getting is pushing it to be one of... Tribal is a weak archetype of Commander. It's played a lot because it's very cool. It's awesome. Making that kind of thing work is really fun. Zombies might literally be, after this set, the best tribe in Commander. I'm not even joking about it. It is very possible.
They have value, they have removal, and they have card draw, and they have finishers.
Yeah, and they've been pushed to the moon with this set.
And not in a broken way either. It's just this critical mass of, like, fair zombie payoffs. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is super cool. And next we have a legend. It is Henrika Damnathi. 2 black for a legendary creature vampire. It's a 1/3. It's got flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Each player sacrifices a creature. You draw a card and lose a life, or you can transform her into Hanukkah Infernal Seer, legendary creature vampire, flying, death touch, lifelink, 3/4, 1 black. Each creature you control with flying, death touch, and or lifelink gets +1/+0 until end of turn. This is literally legendary Vampire Nighthawk with a little sprinkle of Rankle in there.
Tiny.
Little sprinkle. This card's a D+. It doesn't really go in many decks. It's fine. It's totally cool. It's probably cooler as a commander in the 99. I just don't know where you're going to really slot this.
I don't know. Yeah, where would this go? I'm happy just moving on since we have so many cards to get to. Hero's Downfall, 1 black. Destroy a creature or planeswalker. These cards are crappy. You don't want to ever have to play this. I don't think you should ever have to play this. That being said, it's a D-. It's not a literal F because you can play it, and it is a 3-mana 1/1. But it sucks. Please don't play this.
Yeah, we don't really want to be playing 3-mana 1/1s, but this is okay.
It's like murder 90% of the time. Seriously, it's like 90%. Planeswalkers are so weak and susceptible to a lot of different things. You don't ever need to dedicate any slots to them.
I think that's the best point you can make about a card like Hero's Downfall. Adding Planeswalker onto a card does not make it much better in Commander. It makes it slightly better, but not enough. And when this is murder 99% of the time, that murder is a card that I absolutely give an F to. And even though I will still give this a D-, just be wary that you don't want to put this in your deck most of the time.
Yeah, I think now officially we've covered Hero's Downfall enough that most people who watch us know that it stinks. I think my next target is Dreadbore. Because that card probably sees a lot more play than I would expect it to.
Up next is the common. It's Persistent Specimen. It's black for a creature skeleton 1/1. 2 and a black, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped. If you can't find Reassembling Skeleton laying around, put this in your deck. That's pretty much where I am. It's a D+. It's nothing special, but when you can't find Reassembling Skeleton and you just opened a box of Crimson Vow, hey, this is going to be perfect for you.
It's strictly worse. Sometimes you want 2, and in that rare case, here you go. It's not going to be a D+. It'll be a little bit better. Sorin the Mirthless. He's 2 black for a 4 loyalty Sorin. +1. Look at the top card of your library. You reveal it, put it into your hand, and lose life equal to its mana cost. -2, you make a 2/3 flyer vampire with flying and lifelink. Well, I already said that. -7. Sorin deals 13 damage to any target. You gain 13 life. Super weird. It's a planeswalker. These are almost never that good in Commander. Sorin's not an exception. He's D-. 4 mana 2/3 lifelink with a planeswalker left over. Ugh. I'm Dark Confidanting with it every turn, but it's 4 mana. And if I make the vampire, I can't Dark Confidant. And I was like, I'm going up to a 13 damage spell, which isn't even as good as the original Sorin 0. I'm just putting myself to sleep by talking about this.
Yeah, I don't know why I spent so much time on that. But I want to say the only reason I would ever put this in my deck is if I wanted to be uncomfortably turned on by my piece of cardboard.
That might work. It would not work for me.
He is way too attractive, and I don't know how he does it. Someone just gets more attractive
as he gets older.
Every card. He's a year older. Guess what? 10 times more attractive.
The V is 10 inches deeper.
Oh, my God. That man is gone.
He won't even be wearing clothes in the next one.
We'll go to the next one. It's another uncommon. Undead Butler, 1 in the black for a creature zombie, 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. When it dies, you may exile it. When you do, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. This is it's just going to be a budget version of what's the 1 mana one?
Stitcher Supplier?
So Stitcher Supplier. And it has the upside of potentially getting a creature back when you need it to. It's a solid C-. It's nothing crazy. It's not like going to be the linchpin of decks, but it is going to be solid in almost any deck you put it in.
I think this card's actively sweet. I think it's one of my favorite cards in the set for
fair.
Commander. I think it's going to go in a ton of decks. You get self-mill, you get zombie tribal, you get blah, 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 blah. And when it dies, it raises dead. So you mill 3, which in the deck is hopefully close to a card, dies into another card. I love this card so much. It's really, really good. Don't sleep on it. I think a lot of people are going to want this and not even realize it exists.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah, maybe this card, I give it a C-. What would you
I might give it a C+.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, this card it's definitely in the C range, but yeah, it can be a solid card in certain decks.
Solid little role player. There's not a lot of creatures that ETB and mill you for a bunch.
Yeah, what's next?
It's Voldaren Bloodcaster. It's 1 in a red. No, it isn't. It's 1 in a black for a 2/1 flying vampire wizard. When it or another non-token creature you control dies, you make a blood. Whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 of them, you get to transform this into a Bloodbat Summoner. 3/3 flyer at the beginning of combat on your turn. Up to 1 target blood turns into a 2/2 black bat. All right. I mean, how many blood can you make? Apparently 5. You want 2/2s? No. So D-.
If blood is better than we think it is,
Which it isn't.
then well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if there is some sneaky way that it's better than I think it is, this card's one of the best ways to make blood. That being said, the D-, I don't think these blood cards are very good because I think blood is bad.
Yeah, they equated it on limited resources to worse than Scry 1.
Yikes.
So, I mean, that sounds right to me.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Next, we have Doom Weaver, which is 4 black for a creature spider horror 1/8. It has reach and it has soulbound. As long as Doomweaver is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, when this creature dies, draw equal to its power. Now, obviously, this thing dying is not that good because it's a 1/8, so you only draw 1 card. The whole idea is pair it with a 5/5, have a sack outlet. Now you're drawing a ton of cards. You can repair it, draw more cards. It's a C+ because of its high mana cost, but this card is going to be one where it's like, when you play it, sometimes it's just going to be like, oh, crap. This won me the game. This card is a card that has the potential to win you Magic games.
And here's what you pair it with. You pair it with creatures that die into stuff, like your Headless Horseman, who gives you 2/2s when your zombies die. They just keep repairing down the chain. You're paying no mana if you have a sack outlet to draw like 5-7 cards.
Yeah, this card is definitely strong. It can definitely be worth the 6 mana. And like I said, there's absolutely going to be the game or two where you play and you go like, wow, Doomweaver was the difference maker. This won me a game. I think it's still a C+ because of that mana cost, but yeah, beware that this has a real high ceiling.
Yes, so now we're on to red. We are, I think, approaching the halfway mark of this set review. Cemetery Gatekeeper, 1 in a red for a 2/1 first strike, ETB, exile a card from a graveyard. You know the drill. Whenever a player plays a land or a spell that shares a type with the exiled card, it deals 2 damage to that player. This is kind of neat. If you fetch and then play this on turn 2, whenever they play a land, including you, they just take 2 damage. It's like a lot, and it'll add up over the course of the game. And then on the flip side, late game, it does almost nothing.
Yeah, it's a D+. It's Zozu the Punisher in that case for 2 mana.
Build around Zozu.
Yeah, this card is whatever. I think it's a D+. I think it has the potential to deal a lot of damage. And if you're playing in a super ridiculously aggressive aggro deck, and I mean like you're going in on this aggro plan, like everything's 1, 2, and 3 drops, this card's going to be fine, and it'll be a totally nice in the deck. That being said, it's nothing crazy.
Speaking of that.
Yeah.
You want to see nothing crazy?
This is Chandra Dressed to Kill. It is 1 red. Legendary Planeswalker Chandra enters with 3 loyalty. +1, add a red. Chandra Dressed to Kill deals 1 damage to up to 1 target player or Planeswalker. +1, exile the top card of your library. If it's red, you may cast it this turn. -7, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may cast red spells from among them this turn. You get an emblem with, whenever you cast red spells, this emblem deals X damage to any target where X is the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. This is an F. This card isn't even close to a commander card. Don't touch it. I don't even feel like there's much further to go with it. All of its abilities are not worth it at all. Just stay away from Chandra Dress to Kill.
They couldn't give us deal damage to a creature. They couldn't give us you may play the top card of your library if it's a land card. And I don't even know what the ultimate is, but it's like 10 steps away from a card I would ever touch. I'm like very disappointed by that card because Chandra Dress to Kill is such a cool name.
It is a cool name. Unfortunately, unplayable in Commander.
Poopy. Change of Fortune. 3 and a red. Discard your hand. Then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. I actually like this one. If you're wheeling and dealing, if you've already discarded your hand and drawn that many cards, if you like Wheel of Fortune into this, you're going to discard your hand and then draw that many and then draw 7 because you've done this is sweet. You're going to need to be a Madness or a Wheel deck. But once you are, rock solid card, C, you can definitely be sort of a tap out, draw a million cards, and the next turn I'm going to beat you with them.
Yeah, this change of Fortune is solid. Like even in your average deck, it can still just be okay. It's like, but when you're the deck that takes advantage of this, it has the chance to perform extremely highway. You will in the Madness deck, in the decks, if you can go wheel into this, oh my God, it's completely bonkers how many cards you draw. So when this card's built around, it has the potential to be up in like the B- range. I think it is a C, and I think it's where it belongs, but just know it'll perform very well in a lot of situations.
Yes, and it's not a card you can just throw in a deck because it doesn't do the new thing they've been doing with the like single wheels where it's not 1+, it's you're down a card after you resolve this, unless you work around it.
Yeah, so it is definitely a build around card, and we gave it a C. Next is Creepy Puppeteer, 3 and a red for a creature, human rogue, 4/3 with haste. When it attacks, if you attacked with exactly one other creature this combat, you may have that creature's base power and toughness become 4/3 until end of turn. This is not even close to Commander playable. BZ, read the next one.
Yeah, if you can tell me where this goes, leave it in the comments. But for now, Curse of Hospitality, 2 and a red for a curse enchant player. Creatures attacking enchant player have trample. And now get ready for this chunk of text. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to an enchanted player, that player exiles the top card of their library. Until end of turn, the creature's controller may play that card and may pay mana as though it were any color to cast the spell. So it curses someone. Whenever anyone hits that player, the player who hit them steals a card and can cast it. So much work, no payoff. I don't know what you're supposed to do or why you're supposed to play this. D-. Maybe Joe wants to give it a D-, but I'll just throw an F on it.
I gave it a D- because it has slight upside of like it is card advantage and can do things. Giving all the other players card advantage is not worth it, and it's very bullyish where you bully one player because when you attack that player you get to draw cards. I'm not interested in this card almost ever. I'm not even going to put it in my play my opponent's stuff deck.
No, I just don't think it does anything. It's not a proactive card. It's group hug. Blech.
Yeah, so D- trending toward F. Next is Dominating Vampire. 1 red for a creature vampire. 3/3. When Dominating Vampire enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of vampires you control until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. I give this a C-. I like that you get an Act of Treason on a vampire, so it's okay. I mean, if you got obviously it's only dedicated vampire decks that are going to play this. Maybe it's more of a D+, D+, C- in that range for me. I like that you just get to take an Act of Treason and get a vampire for it in your vampire deck.
Act of Treason isn't worth much, though, unless you can sacrifice the creature. So I'm going to put this at D+ and say, gotta have sacrifice thing, and you gotta have vampires to make this count. Ill-Tempered Loner, 2 red for a 3/3 human werewolf. When it is dealt damage, it deals damage to any target. And pay 1 in red, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Obviously, it has Daybound, so it transforms into Howlpack Avenger. Whenever a permanent you control is dealt damage, it deals damage to any target. 1 in a red, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And Nightbound, +2/+0, kind of flavor text. It's Stuffy Doll, and if you can flip it or take advantage of it when it's flipped, because it probably will flip at some point, all your things are Stuffy Dolls.
Yeah, this is going to be able to win you games with Blasphemous Act.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of thing you're going to do with this card. It's a C. It's very middle of the road, nothing crazy, but it definitely has homes in decks that want to be doing this kind of thing where you're playing the Blasphemous Acts, the chain reactions, and potentially you can just win with this card. Can be a win con in certain decks.
I like it a lot. And I'm surprised it's this good because the werewolves in last set were terrible.
Yeah. I mean, just be aware. This is only a C. I am very high on this card, and I love it. And I will find a home for this card in Commander because I think that this card design is one of my favorites. I love the Stuffy Doll effect. But that being said, it is a C, so I got to come back down to earth and realize it's not that insane.
It's only okay. How about Kessig Wolf Rider?
Well, Kessig Wolf Rider is a red for a creature human knight. It has menace. You pay 2 red, tap it, exile 3 cards from your graveyard, create a 3/2 red wolf. All right, I didn't mention it's a 1/2. buts. This isn't even close to what the Commander format wants. It's obviously a standard card is what they were going for, but also it's not, if you're trying to play the werewolf deck, it's not even one of those.
It's not a wolf, it's a human knight. It's crap, and you should treat it as such. Mana Form, Hellkite is the next card. 2 red for a 4/4 dragon with flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, try to summarize this, you get an XX dragon illusion with haste that dies at the end of the turn.
Yeah, this is fine. There's a lot of this type of card where you just, you cast instant sorcery, you get the creature. These ones have haste and die at the end of turn. You just probably want to play Shark Typhoon and stuff over this kind of card. And we have other cards like Gutter Snipe, and there's just too many that are probably better than this. So we're probably going to avoid this usually, but it's still a C+ because this effect is still strong, even though you probably don't have to go to this one and it's going to be cuttable in most cases. Guess what? If this is the one you have, it's not going to disappoint you.
Yes, if you want to sling a lot of 1-mana spells, if you're trying to Flame Jab over and over, this is not the card for you. But then if you're just trying to slam, like, maybe Frantic Search and stuff that untaps and go crazy, then you're going to be able to chunk somebody with some damage.
Yeah, exactly. After that, we have Olivia's Attendants. We have 4 red for a creature, vampire, 6/6. It has menace. Whenever it deals damage, create that many blood tokens, pay 2 and a red. It deals 1 damage to any target. This is a lot of blood. I will say that.
If you hit.
If you can hit. No, you don't even have to hit. It just has to deal damage.
Okay, so it's a lot of blood if you can attack with it.
All you have to do is attack with it. We have to have this dedicated blood deck.
Or artifact deck. If you have like Urza and you're Urza-ing, making a bunch of blood might be the best way to go, because if you can have a creature that makes blood faster than anything else can make stupid clues or whatever, you're in business.
Yeah, this makes a lot of blood. I will say that. This makes a lot of blood, probably the most of any card, but it's 6 mana, 6/6, and we don't want to pay for those stats. This card's just not that great.
It's just Rapacious One. I remember Rapacious One, it's an awesome card. If it hits, then you get that many Eldrazi spawns, and they stack for mana and their creatures. So much better than a blood token, and that card is like unplayable. You just can't do anything with it.
We're going to settle on D- for this one, but I think it's so much blood, and I want to have that much blood, but
so much blood.
It is a lot of blood.
Sound like a witness. Sensia Uprising, 2 red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you make a 1/1 human. Then if you have 13 permanents exactly, you sack it, but you only get 7 damage to any target. All that build up for not a lot of payoff. D-. What else is there to say?
Yeah, you're just getting 1/1 humans. This isn't a very good card.
Late game, you can never get this because you can have so many lands in play.
Yeah, and next we have Volatile Arsonist. This is 3 red for a 4/4 human werewolf with menace and haste. Whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to each of up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player, and up to 1 target planeswalker. Daybound, so on the back, when it is night, it turns into a 5/5 with haste that deals 2 damage in the same fashion as the prior. This is enough. This isn't even close to a card we want for Commander. I understand that the werewolf decks might play this, but it isn't even necessarily very good in those. This is just not a very good Magic card.
It's a chaffy bulk mythic that goes in other formats. It's not for us. It just really isn't. But Mirage Phalanx is, because it was printed specifically for us. 4 red for a 4/4 Soulbond. As long as it's paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, at the beginning of combat on your turn, clone it with a token that has haste, but it doesn't have Soulbond. Exile it at the end of combat. That is sweet. You get the thing right away, and it's going to clone Mirage Phalanx. So you get a free 4/4 with haste. And then if you have a creature with ETB, you're rocking out. You're going crazy.
Yeah, this is solid. This card definitely has some sweet things that it can do. I mean, the fact that this ability has pseudo haste, you get it the first turn you play it, makes it very strong. And again, I have to say this every time for these kind of cards. This card is cool and great. The reason it only gets a C+ is there is this critical mass of 6, 7, and 8 drops that are just so good in Commander. And yeah, this is going to be a good one in that slot, but it's not going to be one of the very best ones in that slot.
No, but I was thinking now, right off the top of my head, Brutaclad might really like this because it makes a token of anything, and you can stack the beginning of combat triggers whenever you want. So you get the mirror, or you get the token, then the mirror, and then everything is this monster. And I'm also thinking, when you clone this, the clones that are tokens do still have Soulbond, and they still trigger. So you can just go nuts.
No, the clones don't have
Soulbond. No, you clone it with a different thing.
Oh!
Like if you're Kiki-Jikiing this, that thing now Soulbonds, and then they make more things. This could be like a weird overrun.
Yeah, this card I think it's very strong, and it definitely has decks. Like this is going to absolutely fit perfectly maybe in a Brutaclad deck, and there's other lists. I'm not sure what those are. This will be one of the better 6 slots in some decks. solid C+. This is a strong Magic card.
Yes, I'm also thinking this card now might go infinite with things. Because if you're like combat celebrating people, you just keep getting combat celebrants, right? And the new, like the new combat celebrant can soul bond, and you just keep. Maybe there's something there. That's pretty nuts.
I think it does go infinite with combat celebrant. Yes.
Not that that's a hard card to go infinite with, but this is a decent finisher.
Yeah, definitely. So next we're moving on to the final monocolored cards, and this one's green. It's Ascendant Pack Leader. It is bad. It's a 2/1. It's a 2/1 wolf for 1 mana, and when it enters the battlefield, it gets a +1 counter if you have something with CMC 4 or greater, and same thing whenever you cast a 4 CMC spell. It's not good. It doesn't matter. Even if we get this thing huge and big, and our whole deck is over 4 CMC, this card stinks.
It's a worse champion of the pairs. That card is unplayable.
Yeah, it's enough. It's just easily enough, and we can move on.
All right, Everbrook Caretaker. It's the card you can never ever beat in limited. 4 green for a 4/4 with hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. Daybound, so it flips into Hollowhenge Huntmaster, hexproof. Other permanents you control have hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Just laughable text in limited. Just hilarious. You can't wait to not play games against this. But in Commander, that we really start not caring about hexproof at all. Especially it's not a threat to the whole game. It's just a pretty good card, and it's hard to keep it flipped. Casting 2 spells is what I'm born to do. D.
What is the mana value of this card?
6.
Oh, 6. We keep talking about that number. This card can overperform and can be pretty decent in some situations. But again, we're that 6 mana slot where we want really, really good cards, and this just isn't a really good card. It's just a medium okay card.
The immediate impact is low.
Exactly.
It is low. Maybe if it's already night, you can get some value on it by giving your permanents hexproof and assembling some attack. This is even that is Magical Christmas Land.
Yeah. So we're just going to move on because I'm done with that card.
Take a survey.
Yeah, this is Cartographer's Survey. 3 and a green for a sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 lands from among them onto the battlefield. Tap, put the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. This card is a D. It's not great ramp. It is not even super good, but I love that it hits any land. That's kind of the thing that makes this card pseudo playable. If you have lots and lots of different utility lands within your deck, and looking at the top 7 is going to probably get you at least 1 utility land, then this is when you want to start considering this card, where you're just loaded with those utility lands.
Some people like Elvish Rejuvenator. Some people like Farhaven Elf. And if you're on the Rejuvenator side, where you'd rather look and try to hit Field of the Dead or something, maybe you want this in a budget version where you can't play all the bangers like Skyshroud Claim.
Yeah, this isn't a bonkers card by any means, but definitely
worth mentioning.
Definitely worth mentioning, and definitely has some homes in the Commander format.
All right, time for Cemetery Prowler. It's the last Cemetery card, not the last Prowler. 1 green for a 3/4 Vigilance. Each EB or attacks, exile a card from the graveyard. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each type they share with whatever you have exiled so far. I think this card is really cool. It just doesn't translate to very good because while the ETB and the constant graveyard hate is nice, and it's like a kind of reasonable body early, where the heck are you supposed to play this card?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It could overperform. I could see this card being a card where it's in your enchantments, you exile 1 enchantment, all your enchantments cost 1 less. Yeah, maybe that is better than I'm thinking.
Or creatures.
But currently I have this at D- because it just, to me, it doesn't look the role. I don't think this is going to be the card it's just not going to be good enough, in my opinion. And again, I want to stress on this one. There is a chance I'm wrong about. There's a chance I'm wrong about any card because judging Magic cards is very hard.
We're not wrong about Ascendant Pack Leader though.
That one's true. Yeah, that is very true. But I want to say I think from what I see here, I'm on D-. I'm probably not putting this in most, but I could see it overperforming in certain lists.
If you want a deck right now that it goes in, the Nylea deck we brewed, where it's tribal cost reduction.
Yeah, so it does go in tribal cost reduction.
I think that might see gameplay at some point. That might be on Shuffle Scuffle.
All right. Next we have Cloaked Cadet. 4 and a green for a human ranger. 2/4. It's got training, and whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on 1 or more humans you control, draw a card. This is going to be triggered once per turn. This is just decent. It's a C-. It's nothing crazy, but on a budget for card draw in a counter deck, this is insanely awesome. Gave it a C-. And I even think not on the budget that if every single turn you're going to be triggering this, especially the turn it comes out, it's going to be worth playing in decks.
Got to be humans. Got to make sure you have ways to put +1/+1 counters on. Once you do that, I think it's pretty easy to put a counter though on instant speed, so you can maybe get the 4 cards a cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Cloak Cadet, though a little pricey at 5 mana, definitely has a solid effect.
All right, here's a hot topic card. It's Cultivator Colossus. 4 green for a star trample. Power toughness equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. Super flashy text, super cool card. I'll say before we talk about some things, it's a C+, it's rock solid, it can go in a land deck. It's not a finisher though, so just be careful because it's 7 mana. And it does combo with Abundance, and it does not combo with Simic Growth Chamber. It does not work.
Yeah, the problem with this card is that it is very expensive mana-wise, so the effect of putting lands into play, most of your lands are already going to be in play by the time you have 7 mana. That being said, it's still cool. It still has a combo with Abundance. I think this card, I mean, it might not be exactly a finisher, but the fact is if you untap with this, it can be a 10-10 and up. And it has
20-20, I don't know.
It does have trample. It does have trample, so that evasion is going to be very nice in a lot of situations. Just be aware that this isn't like the most busted card. C+ for Cultivator Colossus.
Yeah, and even with, like in the higher tuned decks, Abundance and Cultivator Colossus, is that a combo I really care about? I'm paying 11 mana and 2 cards for not win the game.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It is so cool. And let's get into a poop card really quick. This is Glorious Sunrise. 3 green for an enchantment at the beginning of combat. On your turn, choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. Target land gains tap, add 3 until end of turn. Draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater, or you gain 3 life. I think this is an epic commander.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't know who... If there's people out there who are hyping this up, and I think they're just wrong. None of these are good.
I think this card is very bad. I mean, yes, you get it right away. So drawing an extra card once each turn is not that good. The extra mana is just okay. The overrun kind of effect is just okay. And they're all so medium. And I know we're putting them together. So it's like, yeah, we have to take them into consideration all together. I think the land one is almost worthless. It's definitely not worth having a card to do that. I think the life is completely worthless as well.
Flavor text.
So now we're talking about the +1/+1 on the draw card. Both of those just aren't worth the 5 mana. And I'm just out. I'm not in for this card.
If we narrow it down to those two... okay, so I'm not playing Beast Whisperer, I'm playing this. Or I'm not playing just literal Overrun. I would rather play over this. If you're trying to do that, just do it.
There's Overwhelming Stampede.
Yeah, Stampede is even better.
If you want a really good Overrun at 5 mana, Overwhelming Stampede's absolutely that much better. And I get it. There's the versatility, but this card's just not good. I think you should avoid this card at all costs, even on a budget.
Yes, some of the modes have to be good before we start praising cards with modes. Hamlet Vanguard is also an F. It's 2 and over at green. For a 1/1 with Ward 2, and enters the battlefield with 2 counters on it equal to each other human you control. So if you have 3 humans, it gets 6 counters. And it's just a vanilla creature. Limited card, not a commander card. I'm done talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, this card is clearly like a standard curve out card, right? You play
human, boom.
Yeah, you play human, join the dance, this card. Okay. And like that's the idea in standard. Like you get a 7/7, on turn 3, and like it has Ward 2, it's hard to kill. I get the idea there. This is we can't only get power, toughness, and commander. That's all this card provides. Get them out of here.
Bye.
Yep. Next is Hive Heart Shaman. 3 in a green for a 3/5. I already said a human shaman. No, he's a Hive Heart Shaman, human shaman.
Yes.
Okay. Whenever he attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card that doesn't share a land type with a land you control. Put the card on the battlefield, then shuffle. You can pay 5 and a green to create a 1/1 insect, then put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of basic land types you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. This is a D-. I just think that this card isn't there. It doesn't do enough. It has like weird domain. Domain is such a weird thing to be doing in this set, but it's doing domain things. If you're playing shock lands, it starts quickly shutting this off. I think you have to be 5 colors to even consider this card. Once you're in 5 colors, you have access to every other card in Magic, so I'm not interested.
Nature's Lore costs 2 mana. You don't have to make an insect. Why does it make non-flying insects when it's clearly a beekeeper? I don't understand. It makes me mad.
Yeah, I don't like this card at all. So it's a D-. I think it's trending toward F. You might just never want to touch this card.
All right, Howling Moon, 2 and a green. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target werewolf or werewolf gets +2/+2. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you get a 2/2 green wolf token. Now this one, I don't even care about that first part. That's flavor text. What happens when each opponent gives you a 2/2?
You get 6 power for 3 mana, and this card just keeps going. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we say it all the time. You have to be double spelling to win in a commander game. Almost always. If you don't cast a double spell all game, I would find it hard to believe that you won that commander game.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, this is just going to incidentally make 2/2s. It has more text on it, which is, chef's kiss to that. This is one of the better cards for your wolf deck.
Might be a better cards for like a token maker deck where you just can make a reliable amount of tokens that actually attack. This isn't Awakening Zone where you get useless guys that are never going to come in. I like it a lot, and it works with itself. So the flavor text ability can just deal 2 damage to something.
Yeah, I would be surprised if almost every go around you don't get a 2/2. So yeah, this can and the fact that it pumps it, you're just gonna have a 4/4 attacker every single turn at least, and hopefully you can get more 2/2s. This card's good.
C-.
Yeah,
solid.
It's totally solid. Might even be up toward a C. Card is good. Next is Howlpack Piper. 3 and a green for a human werewolf. The spell cannot be countered. It's a 2/2. You can pay 1 in the green. Tap. Put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If it's a wolf or werewolf, untap Howlpack Piper. Activate only as a sorcery. Now, this card isn't too crazy bonkers, but I do like its flip side because it also gives you something good here. It's Wild Song Howler. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms, you look at the top 6 cards of your library, put a creature from among them into your hand, and the rest in the bottom in a random order. This card is nothing bonkers, but it's, again, I like it a lot because it's just a good wolf. It's like, if you want the werewolf cards, this is actually a good Magic card. To see, you'll cut it from most decks because it's never getting cut from your werewolf deck. Because if you can activate, oh,
it's pretty sweet.
It's going to feel so good.
It feels good, but you do open up to, hey, board wipe me if you can. Here's all my stuff at once. It's not Elvish Piper, which is not a very good card, which you can activate at instant speed. You don't have that. You got to have the wolves, but it's a good card in the wolf deck. Let's not pretend like it's bad.
Yeah.
Laid to rest.
Yeah.
3 and a green. Whenever a human you control dies, you draw a card. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it dies, you gain 2 life. Now, I will admit, didn't even know the second line of text was there. I saw the whenever a human you control dies, draw a card, and I was like, I'm in. This is sweet. And you get bonus life points as a bonus. C-. Human Tribal, this is a staple. This is like actually a good card.
Yeah. Oh, it's really sad. They're just all dead. This is dead people.
It'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. But it is sad. This is a C-.
I drew my card.
Completely solid card. And we can move on to Splendid Reclamation. This is the Repent. 3 and a green for a sorcery. Return all lands from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a B. The decks that want it, love it. And it's just going to always be super good. If you have a way to sacrifice your lands and cast this, you often just win the game like that.
All right, get ready to read the next one, Joe, because I'm going to spend about 5 seconds on Uvenwald Oddity. 4 mana 4/4, Trample Haste 7. Turn it into a Trample Haste 8/8. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Trample and Haste. It's just vanilla stats is so much mana for nothing. I mean, okay, the second side is like, okay, way too much mana. Not interested at all.
Yeah, definite off.
Trash.
Now this card, this is a cool Magic card, and it is solid for the Wolf deck specifically.
What we got?
It is Howlhenge Overlord. It is 4 green for a 4/4 with flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, for each creature you control that's a wolf or a werewolf, create a 2/2 wolf creature token. Now this card would suck, but it has flash and it sees itself. This is at least making 1 token, and if you're in the wolf werewolf deck, I think they're trying to make up for the fact that they really screwed the pooch on Wolves and Werewolves last set, and they have made a lot of good cards. This is just a solid B-. Might be trending toward B. This is going to 100%. I can't think of a better card for a wolf werewolf deck that is going to be better at 6 mana than this card. This card is very strong.
I wonder if they made the sets and then they named the sets, because this has all the good werewolves, and the only thing the last set had was Tovolar.
Yeah, it's a little sad, but this card, I think this card's just great. It is absolutely worth the 6 mana in your wolf decks.
Yes, and your wolf deck is the key pot. So
also,
we have it a B-.
Also,
right?
be very aware that this thing just keeps doubling. This is if you untap a second time with this card, it sees the new wolves.
The tokens?
Yeah, it sees the token wolves. It doesn't care that they're tokens. So if you have 3 wolves, you flash this, then you have 4, go to 8, you're untapping, you're getting 8 more wolves after that. This card can do a lot. It can put in work.
All right. Thundering Nightmare is the last one. 4 and a green for a 3/3 with Soul Bond. As long as it's paired with another creature, each of them has, whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a counter on them. Nice little Mana Gorger Hydra impression, except you can put it on a creature, unlike Mana Gorger Hydra, that actually matters and will impact the game, like my Gyre Sage or my other Blight Skullbriar. Something. I kind of like it. I'm into this one. I think it's a C.
Yeah, I have this one at C. But I think it has the potential to this one just has such a ability to overperform. If this one isn't, this is one of those, if you do not answer this will run away with the game.
It'll wreck you. They both get the thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a C. It is a middle of the ground. It's a cuttable card in most decks. That being said, watch out, because if you don't answer Mightmere, it will just win the game.
And I did not know that. I had to reread it like 4 times. I'm like, Mightmare. Looks like Joe typoed. Mightmare.
No, its name is Mightmare.
Mightmare.
It's kind of fun. It's a play on Nightmare.
Yeah, it's a horse. The horse is the actual thing, not the guy riding it, which just confused me.
Yeah, it's funny though.
Yeah, so solid C. I might try this one out.
Yeah.
Throw Triskelion in the mix.
But this card's good. This card is good, no doubt. Put Walking Ballista, like you said, Walking Ballista, Triskelion, same ability. Yeah, that's going to be really bonkers. Up next is Lantern Flares, the first of the gold cards. 1 in a white for an instant. It has cleave, so you get that bracketed text. It's pretty weird. It deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. X is the number of creatures you control, or it has cleave for X red-white, which makes the X into what you paid into it. The only version of this card I've ever thought was playable is Kabir Takedown that has a land in the back, and because this isn't that, I'm completely off of it.
Get out of my life. Never look at it again. Winged Portent, 1 blue for an instant. Draw a card for each creature with flying you control, and the cleave removes that robot text for 4 green-blue to just draw a card for each creature you control. I like that it's an instant. If your flyers matter, this is one of the best cards in your entire deck, but you're blue-green, at least.
I want to say this. I think this card is just good. I'm just going to give it a B. I was thinking about this card, and at first I'm like, man, this card stinks. It's not anything. But then I'm like, oh, wait. This is 1 more mana. 1 more than Shamanic Revelation. Yeah, you have to be in green-blue. But we're assuming we're in that deck. Now, if you have a decent concentration of flyers, suddenly you have this 3 mana potentially like draw 4. And that's kind of crazy to have access to. If you want a Shamanic Revelation and you have a decent number of flyers, sure, that's specific. That is a specific deck. But in that deck, this card is going to be incredibly strong.
All right, I'm in. I agree with that.
Yeah, and next is Path to Peril. It is 1 black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with mana value 2 or less. And then the cleave removes that for 4 white-black. 6 mana board wipes are bad. That's not where we want to be. And the fact that this is mana value and not power, it's just not going to hit enough. And I'm not interested in this card super much. It's still C-. It's just, my problem with this card is you're in black-white, and black-white has the best.
Have you heard of Damn?
It has the best. And it's like, it's crazy because board wipes are always good. Even at 6 mana, you still get this C- where it's like, yeah, I probably never need to reach down here, but it doesn't matter. It's still, if you put this in your deck, it's still going to be fine most of the time. And it's not, but there's just so many other good ones. Stick to the other ones. And if you have this and you like it, put it in your deck.
All board wipes are card advantage. Next, Toxrill the Corrosive. It's a slug. There's so many words.
I love this card.
5 black for a 7/7 at the beginning of each end step. Put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on them. Good luck keeping track of that. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, you get a 1/1 black slug. Black-blue. Sacrifice a slug, draw a card. 11th hour, they're like, here's blue. Right at the end.
I give this a C+. I think this card is solidly strong in its own right. It is definitely better as a commander, obviously, where you're going to build up slime counters. It also randomly works with the one other card that puts slime counters on from Midnight Hunt.
Oh, my God. I like that this is actually kind of does an Elvish Nerd impression, but it's delayed. First end step, guaranteed if this survives, boom, shrink everything, kill all the X ones. Next end step, you're on Elvish Nord territory, baby. That's -2/-2. And it just keeps going until everything else is dead.
If you have ways to cheat this out at instant speed, it could be a lot stronger. But then again, you don't get the first trigger. This one's interesting. I think the card has strength. And you're definitely, if it survives 1 turn, that's all you need out of this card. It's bonkers. But the trouble is, it is a 7-drop. You need to go a full round at the table before you really start getting into the nitty-gritty grind with it.
All right, ready for this one?
What's up?
You're in Sultai.
Ooh, I'm listening.
Generous Patron.
Oh, it's so good.
It's game over.
That's so good. You draw so many cards.
Draw a card for each creature that you don't control every single turn.
That is so strong. I absolutely love that. That is cool.
Sultai Slugs coming to a gameplay near you.
It goes in your Volrath deck that also puts counters.
Okay, we're in.
Yeah, we're in. We found a deck here. I like that.
That's
actually.
A wombo combo.
I mean, that's actually really strong.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's not like that wombo combo is like whatever. It's like that wombo combo is like, dang, I think I
gotta do something right now.
Yeah. Next, Alchemist Gambit, 1 red. It has cleave, so we know we're gonna have some robot text here. Take an extra turn after this one. During that turn, damage cannot be prevented at the beginning of that turn's end step. You lose the game. Exile it. Remove that text for 4 blue. red.
You get some extra robot text. It always exiles.
Whatever. It does always exile.
Overzealous robot text.
7 mana extra turn. This is not a good rate. You never want to be taking the extra turn. That's going to make you lose the game.
Not never. Sometimes you're in.
Yeah, not never. I give this a D. Extra turns are very powerful.
Goes right, Nobeka, right? All day.
Yeah, exactly. These kind of cards are fine. It's not insane or broken, but extra turns are good within themselves. And because they're so good,
this can't be an F.
It's really hard for these to be Fs.
I don't know if there's ever been an extra turn spell that's an F.
You just can't. They're just too good. It doesn't even 10 mana take an extra turn might be an F.
I think Beacon of Tomorrows is like 6 blue time walk and it shuffles in. Not enough.
It's not enough. No, the extra turn is just too powerful in Commander.
All right, dig up green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then shuffle. And it cleaves for 1 black, green. So you can find anything and you don't have to reveal it. I wasn't ready for the second one.
It's double robot text, this one. Because you don't have to reveal it if you get anything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So this is like a D. There's so many tutors, and there's none that are good at 4 mana. The fact that it's Lay of the Land or tutor makes it not trash, but just really slow and weird and not something I would recommend playing.
Yeah.
I don't need it. It's not even a creature.
Yeah, it's a very budget card. I don't see it ever making any deck that's not a budget list, personally.
No. Traverse the Ulvenwald. Compare that to this, and then you're just, how do you ever go back?
Yeah, you're out. You'll be out so fast. Next, Ancient Lumnot. This is actually an uncommon for 2 black. I said Lumbernot.
I like Lumnot.
At least Ancient Lumnot. 2 green-black for a tree folk, 1/4. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Just another butts matter thing. It just was worth bringing up. It's like a D.
It's a D-. It's the good side of butts matter. There's just so many of these. Every butts matter deck probably wants like 3 of them. Pick your 3 favorites that work best with you. They're all kind of random.
Goes in Doran.
Yeah, they're all kind of random and different. It's a little bit of redundancy. Nothing more. Anya, Maid of Dishonor. 2 black-red for a 4/5 vampire. Nice stats. Whenever Anya, Maid of Dishonor, and or one or more other vampires enter the battlefield under your control, create a blood token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Wah, wah. And you can pay 2 and sacrifice another creature or a blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life.
Now, I think that she is obviously a better commander. It's not even close because obviously that's where you want her.
That's a blood commander. Almost.
But she needs vampires and blood. I'm thinking maybe she's fine in the Edgar Markov deck where it's like you play her, get a vampire, then you play another vampire, you get some blood, and you can get enough and get some blood, and then the blood actually does something because Anya actually pays off blood, unlike most
kind of
cards.
Extorts it.
It kind of extorts it, but this card's not great, especially in a random deck. And I mean, other than maybe Edgar Markov, I don't know where you're playing this D.
Is it really that bad if it just said whenever another non-token vampire enters, you get a blood token? How crazy would that have been? I would be interested in the blood deck.
Yeah, just not interesting. So next we have Dorothea, which I love.
This is Dorothy.
That's Dorothea?
I think it's just Dorothy.
That's Dorothea.
I think the A is part of some Dorothys.
I've never heard that before. I believe it's
How
Dorothea.
would you spell Dorothy?
I don't.
Exactly.
I think it has a Y.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think Dorothy just has a Y.
I think it's just Dorothy.
Dorothea.
Which is way funnier.
Dorothea. Vengeful Victim, white and a blue for a 4/4. Whenever it attacks or blocks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. And then on the back, it has Disturb, and it is an aura. You enchant a creature. Enchant a creature has whenever this creature attacks, create a 4/4 white spirit creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice it at the end of combat. Then if this will go to the graveyard instead, exile it. This is enough. This card's really bad.
Can I just keyword Geist of St. Traft ability? I don't know why it's in every single set. I wonder if she's actually... No, she's not, because the Geist of St. Traft makes an angel. So it's just, I don't know what she is or what she's doing, but she hates vampires. She's terrible. This card is garbage.
Yeah, I don't know either, and this card is just bad in Commander. There's nothing to do with it.
With all Disturb cards, if you mill it, you get a free card. How much is this card worth, though? Not a ton. Edgar, Charmed Groom. Charmed, I think, is referring to, like, Olivia wakes him up and then, like, charms him. And I don't know what that means, because I couldn't find out. But he's, like, weakened by it. So I don't know if he's, like, even consenting to this marriage.
Oh, well, that's weird.
That's a weird subtext, but this super old man is 2 white-black for a 4/4 vampire noble. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. When he dies, return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control as his coffin. At the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 1/1 white and black vampire creature token with lifelink, and you put a bloodline counter on this thing. Then if there's 3 or more bloodline counters on it, remove them, and you get Edgar back. transform it.
Yeah, Edgar's just not good. We just don't want. We talked about it. +1/+1, not good enough. Unfortunately, I think it's a D+. I like
Not
that it's
good enough, Gary.
I like that it's basically never gonna die. It's realistically.
Yeah, he sticks around.
If he gets caught up in a board wipe and then someone destroys the artifact, that's when he dies. But that seems rare. And I like that this card does stick around, but we don't really want a Bitter Blossom effect. It's just not good enough. It's just not there. D+ for this card.
Yeah, SpongeBob said it best. What's next?
Next is, I hate this name.
Ruth?
Tormented Prophet. Or is it just Ruth? Maybe the E is silent.
Ruth. It's like
No, it's just Ruth.
It's like the internet, Ruth.
No, the E is silent. It's just Ruth. You don't know anything. It's 1 blue-red for a legendary creature, human wizard 2/4. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. You may play those cards this turn. Trouble with this, you can't draw at instant speed. It's going to really punish you for stuff like that. It just doesn't fit in almost any deck. It's a D. It does have upsides if you're always playing at sorcery speed, but I really dislike that something, if someone has a Blue Sun Zenith, they can really punish you. I mean, it is like, if they Blue Sun Zenith you for 10, it's exile the top 20 of your library. And like, yeah, that's not that insane, but it's like, that could be super annoying. And I think this card's fine. And I think as a commander, it's going to have definitely a lot of strengths, but I don't want to be playing this in my 99.
Too bad this doesn't work with there's all these cards that care about number of things in exile now. Like, it doesn't work with Prosper, or it doesn't work with, like, I think Belborka, is that his name? Cares about cards in exile. It doesn't really go with anything. It's hard to utilize. So I like I like it at D. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, there's no decks to put it in. What's next? This one's cool.
Gralnock, the Omnivore. 2 blue-green for a 3/3 froggy. Whenever a frog you control attacks, you mill 3. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a Croak counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you own in exile with Croak counters on them. What the? It involves attacking. You have to wait so much time. Frogs stink. This isn't your commander, so my God, it's a D.
Yeah, the D minus comes from the fact that there's not enough. If there was good frogs, like if this was a supported creature type,
it was a human.
This card is good, and it is. But the fact is, you're gonna have to rely on it attacking, and that makes this card a D minus. It's also in green, blue. It's just not there. It's unfortunate because it's just an unsupported archetype, and because of that, it's just never gonna make it.
Yeah, and if there were playable frogs that just had, like, if Caustic Caterpillar was a frog, maybe you can throw this in a deck and now just get the self-mill as a nice bonus, and who cares about the Croak counters? Except they get exiled and you can't mill them, and it's so confusing.
Yeah, it just doesn't work very well. Next, yeah, we have Helena and Alana, partners. They are lesbians and they're adorable. 2 red, green for a 2/3 legendary creature, human ranger. They are both human rangers. Or one is a human and the other is a ranger. I don't know.
Archer, I think. One's an archer?
I don't care. Yeah, one of them might be an archer. Because if they have first strike, they have reach at the beginning of combat on your turn. Put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Helena and Elena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn.
Their couple name is just Helena. It's the first one's name.
Helena, I guess, because it's Helena, and Elena. Helena. So it's Helena.
And also, how hard was it to make this artwork good?
It's sad. I don't like
this artwork is like real bad.
Yeah,
These characters are cool.
I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah, they're lovers. They're fighting together, and I think these characters are strong. I mean, it is obviously worse Xenagos. I mean,
second Xenagos.
But it is the second Xenagos for the decks that went Xenagos. It's going to be a great commander, I think, in its own right. Absolutely, and I think this is just a B minus. You want a deck that is buffing powers overall, so that their trigger does more. But if you start pumping this up, it has first strike, it has reach. They're not attacking through this, and they're not blocking it.
I think it goes pretty well with Xenagos too, because Xenagos says, "Hey, make this bigger," and then she goes, "Hey, make something else bigger forever," and you just got this chain of annoying threats to deal with. You're like, where do I start?
Yeah, exactly. I think this card is very solid, and it's going to go in certain decks. Obviously, going to be a great commander on its own right. It's just tough because it's so close to Xenagos. Xenagos is indestructible. That's just so much better.
Yeah. All right. Holy crap, is this Kaya card weird and disappointing. 1 white black for a 3 loyalty Kaya. +1. Creatures you control gain death touch until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature token you control. -2 until end of turn. If 1 or more tokens would enter the battlefield under your control, you get twice that many. -6. Exile all cards from all graveyards. Then create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying for each card exiled this way. Now, if I said there's a Kaya that ultimates to make a bunch of spirit tokens, and I asked you what the name was, you probably wouldn't say Geist Hunter. I hate everything about this card. I hate it so much. The +1 is like nothing. It's like nothing. It doesn't protect itself. It doesn't make a board. It puts a counter on something and says you have good attacks now. Oh my God. Don't get lured in by the Anointed Procession minus. Oh, this card stinks.
Yeah, agreed. And speaking of stinky cards that we just got to get out of the way.
Disappointing cards.
Yeah. Odric, Blood Cursed, 1 red-white for a 3/3 legendary creature. Vampire Soldier. When he enters the battlefield, create X blood tokens where X is the number of abilities from among Flying, First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance found among creatures you control. This is an F. This card is bad. Period.
Is this the most expensive or the most wordy 3/3 for 3 ever made?
It's
I
bad.
count this as a French vanilla.
Yeah, this is a card you're going to take second to, or like, if you're in red-white, you'll take it like 7th pick and draft. And you'll
Yeah,
feel
it
good
might make
about
a blood token.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What the heck were they doing?
Yeah.
The other Odrics are cool, and they might be niche, but there's things you can do. This is just,
I get it. You wanted to stick with the keyword soup, but could you make the keyword soup not butts?
Could you give me a discard payoff or something when I sacrifice my blood tokens so that I have a reason to care? I don't want blood tokens. Make me want them. Old Rutstein. 1 black, green for another old legendary. Is he best friends with Old Stickfingers?
Old Stickfingers.
1/4. When Old Rutstein enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. If a land was milled, treasure. If a creature was milled, 1/1 insect. If a non-creature, non-land card is milled, you don't draw a card. You get a blood token.
Yeah, this is just a D. I don't know about this card. It's just too slow of mill and needs to attack to continue milling, and you're just not quite getting enough. It's fine, but I think it's a D.
Undead Butler is like 10 times better than this card. I just want my mill up front, please.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Next, we move on to the head of the set. It's Olivia, Crimson Bride. 4 black, red, legendary creature, Vampire Noble, 3/4 flying. Haste makes it pretty decent. Whenever Olivia Crimson Bride attacks, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking, it gains. When you don't control a legendary vampire, exile this creature. I give it a D-, and it's in this 6-drop slot. Now I think as a commander, it can be solid in its own right, but this is that you have to jump through the hoops of having big creatures in your graveyard. Then she returns them, and then if she dies, she really gets rid of them unless you have another legendary vampire.
What if you get back a legendary vampire?
When you don't control a legendary vampire, I guess that actually does work. So
That's because she works with Ultimate Flavor Win with Edgar.
So yeah, as long as you get Edgar back, she's winning. Sure.
That's pretty cool. This card has potential. I like it as just a big reanimator. Like it's better than some of the other reanimator cards at that mana slot. I think I like it, but I still think it's like a D.
Yeah, D. I give it a D-, and I don't really think it could do much better than that. It's just, where are you playing this? It just doesn't feel like this card has a real home in Commander.
Yeah, it's got a Kalia-like effect, so try to find that somewhere for it. It's not terrible. Runo Stromkirk, 1 blue, black for a 1/4 vampire cleric with flying. When he enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. A little recursion. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal it. If it's got cost 6 or greater, you flip them. I don't know if he summons this or he turns into it, but it's Krothis, Lord of the Deep, a 3/5 Kraken horror with flying. Oh, flying. Maybe it does transform. Whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken or an Octopus or a Leviathan or a Serpent, you make 2 of them. We did it, boys. We got the, leftover sea monster soup tribal deck with a vampire. It's an F.
I want you to tell me the deck this goes in.
As not the commander.
I'm gonna if it's not the commander, nothing. That's what I thought. Let's move on to this next card because I was shocked. This card is good.
It's sick.
It is Torrens, Fist of the Angels, 1 green-white legendary creature, human cleric. It has training, and whenever you cast a creature spell, get a 1/1 green-white human with training. You have got to be kidding me. This card is solid. There are going to be so many decks that want to play this card. If you have a super high concentration of creatures, holy crap. He makes 2/2s. Don't get confused. Do not think that these are 1/1s. These are 2/2s for casting creatures. I just think this card is good. Oh, yeah. Period. And it's going to be a great commander in its own right, but it is, if you have a deck with 30, 40 creatures already and it's green-white, this guy will just pay off playing all those creatures. Chef's kiss. I think this is one of my favorite cards from the whole set. I love it.
Torrens is the real deal. B+ out of the park. It's like on par with Monastery Mentor.
I cannot speak highly enough about this card because not only, for the first thing, yeah, they are always going to be 2/2s. There's almost no chance you're not going to be.
Yeah, when they attack.
When they attack. So at that point, that's awesome. If they attack again, they're going to be 3/3s. The training is a decently strong ability. This Torrens is the real deal. He's going to. I think you might see him in gameplay because I absolutely think this card is a house, and I would love to try it. Whether it's in the 99 or it's in the command zone, this card is great.
I don't know if it'll line up that we get to do like a Crimson Vow release gameplay video. Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
But he might show up. Vile Spawn Spider. It's green-blue for a 2/3 with reach. At the beginning of your upkeep, you mill a card, and you pay 4 and tap and sack it to spider spawning, kind of. You get a 1/1 for each creature card in your graveyard at sorcery speed. I thought this was an interesting effect. It's not very good. But I'm just looking at it, and I'm thinking, is there something here? I don't know. For now, it's an F. I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah, BZ also put this one on here, and I
like this one. This card's cool.
This card's bad. I mean, this card, I don't even think this card's close to playable for a commander.
I want to fight you on this one. You just read it.
Okay, fine. 1 blue-red for a flying 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library and reveal a non-creature, non-land from among them. Put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom in any order. What?
It's a 3-mana cantrip flyer.
The 3 mana is why it sucks.
I don't know. I think it's okay. You get a pretty decent selection. It's not draw a card. It's like draw a good card. 6 is a lot.
Maybe it's a D-. This card looks awful to me. I don't know. 3 mana come and get a card is just not where you want to be, I don't think.
But it's get a good card. It's not draw a card. Yeah, it's not Tome Raider.
Yeah, that's fair.
So Umbrous Fear Manifest is one of the last gold cards.
It is the last gold card.
We are almost done here. We still got colorless. 3 blue-black for a 1/1. It gets +1/+1 for each card you opponents own in exile. So it is not as small as it looks. When it or another nightmare or a horror enters the battlefield under your control, target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they hit a land. So you have a little tribal incentive or exile their graveyard and just make a big 30/30.
Yeah. This just doesn't belong in any decks, really.
No.
It's probably going to be a cool commander. D-. Easy.
Yeah.
Next, if we're moving on to, finally, Colorless, and this is the last 6 cards. We have Dollhouse of Horrors, $5, I almost said. 5 mana for an artifact. Pay 1, tap, exile a creature from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of the exile card, except it's a 0/0 construct artifact in addition to its other types. And it has this creature gets +1/+1 for each construct you control. It gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. It takes a while.
So wordy.
It's so wordy, and it takes a long time to be worth it because you really want to make 2 or 3. Once you make 3, I think this card has gotten up to the point where it's worth it.
You got your mana value back.
That is a lot to get to, though. I gave it a D, but I think it's cool. I don't like the art, though I do like the eyeball.
Yeah, I don't know what the eyeball is. Indicating this is a small house, but the tokens are big. Anyway, Investigator's Journal. Joe gave it a D-. I'm going to bump it up to a D because there's 2 mana for an artifact clue. Did not notice that until right now. This thing is a clue. Investigator's Journal enters the battlefield with a number of suspect counters on it equal to the highest number of creatures a player controls, including you. 2, tap, remove a counter from it, draw a card. 2, sack it, draw a card because it's a clue. I love that they put that on there. This is a strictly Boros red type card draw, or maybe clue payoff. I might try it in my clue deck now that I know it's a clue. It's not very good, but I think it actually is better than Endless Atlas, and that's a card I think is playable. So in the decks that are like hungry for this card draw, you can play a slowish, like Phyrexian Arena type thing. It could do work.
I just think Mind's Eye is better than this card.
See, I don't know about that.
I don't know. The only time Mind's Eye is ever going to really be worse than this card is if Mind's Eye dies before you draw 2 cards. Because Mind's Eye draws a lot quicker. I don't know. This card is, I'm not interested. You can only draw 1 a turn.
Yeah, you can. Well, no, you can draw 2 a turn. If this is, like, you can always draw 1 and then always have the option to sack it.
Sure.
Just saying.
That's fair. Maybe in that it does make it slightly better. I don't know. This card just, it doesn't do it for me, and it doesn't look good.
I don't hate it. Yeah. That's where I'm
at. Next, we have Lantern of Lost Souls. 1 mana for an artifact when it enters the battlefield. Exile, target card from a graveyard. Pay 1, tap, exile, Lantern of the Lost. Exile all cards from all graveyards, then draw a card.
Decent.
I mean, this is just a C. We have a lot of these. Well, I think Relic of Genesis is better. I think that
Soul Guide Lantern.
Soul Guide Lantern is better because it lets you keep your own graveyard. That being said, this is probably the 3rd best option, and it's not going to underperform. It's a C. If you have a lot of graveyard stuff going around, you might want this.
Yes, it can be definitely annoying to get through. And there's a cycle of lands. They finished a cycle in the same block.
Thank you.
It's never before seen occurrence. Sundown Pass, Storm-Carved Coast, Shattered Sanctum, Dreamroot Cascade, and Deathcap Glade all say Deathclap Glade enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Tap, add green or black. These are some of the best duels. They are A's. They are some of the best duels in the format. They're like, you got your duels, and you got your fetches, and you got your shocks, and you got your battle bond lands. But these are like next after those insane duels.
Agreed.
They're good. They always enter on tap.
Yeah, they're absolutely just completely solid. 3 and less color decks are absolutely going to play all 3 of these in the deck. And then at 4 colors, you start really wanting to go heavy on fetches and shocks. So that starts getting away from cards like this. But I think in 3 and 2 color decks, you're absolutely going to play all these you can.
A.
Yep, A. Absolutely A's. And
last card.
Voltairean Estate. It's land. It taps for a Wingding, or you can pay 1 life to add 1 mana to cast a vampire spell, or pay 5, create a blood token, activate this ability, costs 1 less for each vampire you control, can cost 0. Which means it can just be tapped to make a blood token.
Which does still cost 1.
Well, it does, but it's extra mana. I think it's just, this isn't, you just put this in a vampire deck.
Very obvious.
It's a C. It only goes in vampire decks.
Yep.
But it is the freest free roll in those vampire decks. I think in vampire decks, it's a C. It's solid. Actually, I don't think it's a C. I think it only belongs in vampire decks, and it's a B.
It's just an auto include, right?
It's an auto include in your vampire decks. You know what? It's an A- for your vampire decks. But it doesn't go any. Just know it doesn't go anywhere else. This is vampire tribal. It's an A in vampire tribal, and nowhere else.
Ever.
Ever. Yeah, but it is a free roll in vampire tribal.
Yes. So that is
the set.
We got every single freaking card in this set that matters at all. You don't even have to go look at the set because we just told you every single one of them. I'll try to put chapters in to make this more digestible, but I'm glad you stuck around. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a long video. Set reviews are going to be something we might stick with. We'll see how you guys respond to this. If you like it, it's all about it literally is about if you guys want to watch this kind of content.
We want to make stuff that people like.
Yeah, we want to make a product that we're going to produce and that we're both going to be proud of and that people are going to enjoy. Because if we make a product we're proud of and no one's watching it, then, well, it's cool.
I don't make this for me. Yeah, I make it to help people.
Yeah, we make it we make it because we like making it. I mean,
but I also would like to help people. That's what makes me happiest.
Happiest. Okay. Special shout outs to all of our patrons. Love you guys all as much as we can without making comfortable. Thank you guys for supporting this channel the way that you do. Honestly, you just make this channel keep going every day.
And if you don't feel like supporting us monthly and getting into that Patreon nonsense, maybe you don't have an account and you don't feel like making one. TCG Player affiliate link. Just click a link in the description that links to that. Go to TCG Player through the link, buy some cards, and then without any extra work or any extra money, you're help supporting us. It's like throwing a tip in the tip jar that you found on the floor.
Yep. Well, you want to know how me and BZ order Magic cards? Every time we order Magic cards, we go to TCGplayer.com because they have the biggest, largest selection. I've tried using other sites. I've used the other websites. Usually there's cards they're out of, not TCG Player, because they're a marketplace, and it's really great.
I don't think they've ever been out of a card that I need.
No, the worst thing that's happened is they have a TCG Direct, which is nicer. It might cost a little more, but you're guaranteed to get the cards all in one package.
Yeah.
But sometimes TCG Direct's out of cards, but there's always someone else selling it, and you might just have to wait a couple extra days to get it.
Take the hit.
But you're going to get it. And also, if you want to support us, Dragon Shields. How do we sleeve our decks? Well, we put them in Dragon Shields, our literal favorite sleeves. You can get custom sleeves. You can get any cool sleeve that you want, that they have. They have art sleeves, and they have colored sleeves. They have the new ones with the back blacks. They're like Eclipse-esque.
Yes, they're very cool. I am into them. We have the Orchid, and there was the other color, the bluish one that I don't remember, but it doesn't matter because any product I can buy from them I know is amazing.
Dragon Shield, they make quality product. I haven't bought something from Dragon Shield and been disappointed.
Yeah.
So, tidbit about our lives. I mean, it's the end of the video. What do you want?
It's so long. I don't even know. It feels like Midnight Hunt is gone already, and we just had it.
Yeah, I didn't play much Midnight Hunt. I
love that format.
I had fun with it, and I did win 2 of the last 3 drafts.
In person. We do in-person drafts every week.
So yeah, I haven't played much other than playing drafts in person, but winning 2 out of the last 3 made me like the format a little more.
And me and Jerry have won 4 out of the last 4.
Yeah.
Humble brag to no one.
Yeah.
But also, I will say
Eat it, Tim.
Yeah, we're excited that we got 20 new cards for the Commander Cube coming from this set.
Is there any chance that Tim made it to the end? If you did, hi, Tim.
Well, he's eating it now.
Yeah, I did
currently consuming it.
Also, Ken definitely made it. Hi, Ken.
Shout outs to our friends. You probably see some of them on gameplay.
Hi, Moses. Anyone else you want to say hi to?
My mom, Tammy.
She's definitely not watching. I'm talking about people who there's a chance they're watching. Even if your mom turned on this video, which there is a chance that happens.
She wouldn't make it.
There is no chance in hell she ever gets to this end part.
Well, then this end part better end.
She had to sit through 2 hours of listening to something she would not understand.
Foreign language.
Oh, basically, yeah. So that is the end.
Bye,
Peace
Mom.
out, Tribe Scout. And not bye, BC's mom, you're not here.